a job due to toxic work culture. SHRM research shows almost half of the workforce has been treated unfairly due to age. People with disabilities are twice as likely to be unemployed. Nearly 700,000 of the formerly incarcerated will remain unemployed for over a year, and more than 50% of veterans have trouble finding work. These individuals have been constrained for far too long. Tearing down biases at work is good for people and business. Together, let's create better workplaces and a better world.
Wondering which credit card is right for you? Introducing CNBC Select, the authority on all things credit cards. We do the research, you reap the rewards. Head on over to cnbc.com/select and take control of your money.
Welcome to Nuffield Health Battersea, a gym built around you. You get regular health MOTs to create a plan that works for you, with physios and personal trainers on site. You'll find a wide range of equipment and classes, and our expert team will support you to get the most out of your health, fitness, and your membership. Join today to get the rest of the month free. Search Nuffield Health. Specialists in you. 12-month commitments only. Facilities stated are in most gyms. Visit nuffieldhealth.com/terms.
When it comes to music, I've heard it all. Pink Floyd, Sean Paul, Slipknot. But in the Witch Test Lab, hearing isn't enough. When we test headphones, we really listen. Not just to the music, but to the stuff that gets in the way. The traffic, the chatter, all that. Mind the gap. We simulate the loudest commute to find you the headphones that cancel out the noise. So you know we're only recommending the best.
Which tests harder so you can buy smarter. Visit which.co.uk.
Welcome back to Squawk Box this morning. Veteran business journalist Larry Ingrassia is here. He's got a new book out about how some well-known household brands have been disrupted by the direct-to-consumer revolution. It is called Billion Dollar Brand Club. How Dollar Shave Club, Warby Parker, and other disruptors are remaking what we buy. And Larry joins us now. He's held senior editing positions. He was my editor for so many years and a mentor and rabbi at the New York Times. He was a mentor rabbi to Becky over here
so
at the Wall Street Journal. Both of us.
My fault.
And the LA Times. So we're thrilled to have him here this morning.
Great to see you guys.
Congratulations on the book.
Thank you.
Explain this to us. So there are all of these new brands that have effectively disrupted what we thought were these older businesses, the Procter & Gamble's and everybody else. But one of the questions I have now is we're watching Casper and some of these other guys try to go public and do things, is the valuation seem to be compressing. And I'm trying to figure out is, have they really succeeded, or did they really succeed at somehow getting venture capitalists to give them money to subsidize their businesses?
Great question, as usual, Andrew. I think it's a little bit of both. It depends on the particular situation. So Casper is in a category that's been really disrupted. Mattresses. 5 years ago, $50 million of $16 billion was direct-to-consumer. It's $2 billion now. It got so crowded that you have winners and losers. Purple Innovation, which is another player in that market, actually makes money.
I want that mattress, by the way.
That makes money. Casper reported that it loses money. So it depends on the particular situation of companies. I think that Casper took a lot of venture capital money. They probably overspent on marketing. They're going to need to write that. But a lot of the companies are profitable.
I mean, Casper, I think, can create the entire genre for everybody else to kind of go after.
Well, they were one. They kind of like to say that. Tough to Needle was actually before them.
But I remember Casper.
Yes.
I've never bought a mattress from Casper, but I have bought a mattress.
And that's because they were the biggest marketer.
Yeah. Right.
And they spent too much on marketing.
Right.
Is the ultimate result of all this, though, that they all seem to be getting acquired by the big guys, or do they remain independent? I mean, that's, to me, the fundamental question about all this. I still think that one day Luxottica is going to buy Warby Parker and just say, enough already.
And I think that would be bad for consumers because one of the great things about this revolution is that there's much more choice. And these companies have forced the bigger players like Gillette to lower prices. Gillette lowered prices for the first time in forever, right, by 10 to 15%. Gillette had a 70% market share for decades before Dollar Shave Club and Harry's came along, and now it's in the low 50%. What happens if they buy them up? We're going to have less competition. And that's, to me, one of the great things about this revolution, where it was easier to introduce product. They took advantage of technology. You didn't have to have retail shelf space. You could go directly to the consumer. And the people behind this, these young entrepreneurs in their 20s and 30s, kind of like you guys. Oh, that was when you worked for me, right? Sorry. figured this out, and they saw a problem, whether it was a higher price or a poor experience, and they solved it, and that's the key to their success.
I love the Dollar Shave Club ad that we just showed.
Yeah.
Very clever advertising. Good way to get.
You're talking about that macaroni and cheese. I mean, that's the one that did. What is it? Annie's or something?
Oh, Annie.
That's the one.
The organic macaroni.
You're dating yourself there, Joe.
Is that pretty old? Is that pretty? No, but
I think that's about 40 years old. Maybe.
Annie's? I thought they disrupted Kraft macaroni and cheese. Nobody buys Kraft anymore.
Yeah,
except for Brad Pitt in Once Upon a Time.
My other question was going to be about scale, though. Do you think that one day there will be a merger of all of these D2C direct-to-consumer businesses so they can have the scale to play against these big guys? Because so far, a lot of it gets either subsidized by venture capitalists or they're waiting. Bonobos is waiting to get bought by Walmart.
Yeah, I think that is one possibility. For some of these companies, that they'll kind of get together and they have their shared resources, and they can be more profitable. But again, some of them are profitable. Third Love started by a couple, Heidi Zak and her husband, and Dave Spector, have done very well taking on Victoria's Secret and building a business. The stories of the people, which I kind of focus on a lot in the book, the stories of the people behind these companies is really fun.
What's the purple mattress? Is it Steve McMahon purple strap?
No, how would you describe it?
We have a Casper. The only thing cool about Casper, it comes in like a little lunchbox.
That was one of the great, brilliant things about it. They made it easy, and they said, "Oh, you don't like it? You can return it." Is there a more miserable experience than going into a mattress store?
Did you have a waterbed? I bet you got a waterbed, didn't you, when you were younger? Huh?
I'll tell you all about the purple bed during the commercial break.
What does it do?
The book is fabulous. Thank you. Congratulations on coming in.
Thanks, guys.
The $1 Billion Brand Club is the name of the book. Go out and get it. We appreciate you and seeing you. So,
great to see you. When we come back, we are watching three big reports before the opening bell. We're going to dig into the numbers from Caterpillar, Exxon, and Chevron, and we'll get reaction on Wall Street. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Don't get mad. Get E-Trade, dog. Consistency can deliver on investment goals. Columbia Threadneedle Investments.
I'm really into this car, but how do I know if I'm getting a good deal? I tell TrueCar my zip and which car I want, and TrueCar shows the range of prices people in my area actually paid for the same car, so I know if I'm getting a great price. This is how car buying was always meant to be. This is TrueCar.
My life, my health took on a whole new meaning when I became a father. That's why I'm a proud investor in Roman. Roman connects you with a U.S. licensed doctor to get the treatment you need, where and when you need it. Get started with a free online visit today.
Let's go get lost so we can be found. We're on our way.
Plan your adventure now at AtlantisBahamas.com.
Having an idea for a business was easy, but without the right team and the right tools in place, it's just an idea. That's why I use NetSuite.
NetSuite is the world's #1 cloud business system. Schedule your free product tour right now at netsuite.com/grow.
Yeah, there's real power in travel. It's a two-sided thing. First is what it does to yourself, because it does give you experiences of other cultures and other people. But also, it lets other people experience you. And I think it helps make us kinder.
Viking, exploring the world in comfort.
Analysis and first trading action after the latest numbers from retail and entertainment giant Amazon. Where is the company delivering for investors? Squawk on the Street today, 9 a.m. Eastern. Watch or listen live on the CNBC app.
Good morning. Welcome back to Squawk Box right here on CNBC. A beautiful live shot of the White House in Washington, D.C. this morning.
Purple sky.
With the purple sky and the sun coming up. It doesn't get better than that image. I'm Andrew Sorkin, along with Becky Quick and Joe Kernan. Take a look at U.S. equity futures for about 2.5 hours before the market's going to open right now. I've got a bit of a mixed picture here. We got the Dow looking like it would open up higher, much lower, about 137 points lower. But the NASDAQ looking up. We'll explain why in just a minute. That's going to open up about 34 points higher. The S&P 500 off about 7 points. We've had some earnings hit as well, and Becky's got those.
All right, Cat and Honeywell earnings both hitting the wires just in the last hour. Caterpillar beating on the bottom line, but missing on revenue and issuing a weaker than expected outlook. It's the outlook that is really putting pressure on shares of Caterpillar. They're down by about 53 cents. That's a decline of 0.4%. Honeywell also beating on earnings, but missing on revenue. That stock, though, up by about 1%. It's a gain of $1.66, and Honeywell issued some guidance that was more in line with what the street was expecting. Joining us right now to dig through the numbers and also talk about the broader sell-off that we've been seeing is Sarat Sethi. He is managing partner at Douglas C. Lane. Also, Elizabeth Vermillion of CFRA. Good to see both of you. Sarat, why don't we just start talking about Caterpillar and Honeywell? It seemed to me that the guidance that Caterpillar issued was quite a bit weaker than what Honeywell's seeing. What do you think is really affecting that?
I think it's the uncertainty. Any company this last couple of weeks that has called out either China in terms of the virus or just trade uncertainty has been penalized. And it's actually the companies that have shown secular growth that the stocks have really reflected really nice pops. So Honeywell, I think, is one of the best managed companies out there. I think of Honeywell as the old GE. They've really managed their businesses well, even through the uncertainty over the last couple of years. CAT has always had these up and down quarters, and I think on the news release, it'll be interesting to see what they say on the call. They really kind of brought down the guidance to the lower end to say, well, we'll hit the higher end.
Being conservative, we'll see. The stock has kind of fluctuated up and down.
Fluctuated up and down.
Put these numbers
and I think at this point, at least through this earnings season, a lot of investors are not giving the benefit of the doubt or might not be aggressively buying them because there are other stories, there are other companies that are doing well through this, and those are the growth companies. And really, when you look at kind of, that's the quarter that people are expecting.
Elizabeth, we're in an awkward time right now. You're getting a lot of numbers and a lot of earnings that are here that plenty of them are better than expected, but then you do have this uncertainty created by the coronavirus in China and the potential for what the shutdown there is going to mean for the economy, not only in China, but around the globe. How do you play this?
Well, I think our outlook on Caterpillar is definitely cautious, and it's definitely driven by sales outside of the U.S. It'll be interesting to see how the next few weeks play out and how it affects China's manufacturing, or CAT's manufacturing in China. They have a decent amount of factories, none of them specifically in Wuhan. It'll be interesting to see if any of that has an impact.
You have a buy rating on the stock. Is that at risk based on what they've said today in this earnings report?
So we have a hold. We're very cautious on CAT for a number of reasons, including a lot of pricing pressure in China.
Okay, and what about a price target? Where are you focused on that for the next 12 months?
So our 12-month price target is about 156. We're going to evaluate where they go on the call and go from there.
So, how do you kind of read on what's happening in China right now?
I think if you go back to history, the way to play this is if we get a little more of a pullback, a 5 to 10% pullback, especially with manufacturing companies and those associated with China and transports, that's kind of when I would get aggressive. You've seen about maybe a 5% pullback in, a Delta, United, and then some of the key manufacturing companies. I think that gives you that opportunity because a year from now, this will just be kind of a one-off at that point, and investors will not really take it as long-term earnings growth. But in the short term, as some of this news comes front and center, and you get, unfortunately, some more bad news, that as an investor is the opportunity that kind of you would look for high-quality companies. CAT's a really high-quality company. That's, if it gets sold off, if Honeywell gets sold off, or you look at some of the other blue-chip companies, those are the opportunities, I think, that you can actually put money to work. And really, where the market is, it's still pretty close to its all-time high.
Sure. Elizabeth, with that sort of viewpoint on things, if you're trying to look through what's immediately happening with the coronavirus, how can you measure what's happened in China for Caterpillar, just even from the trade uncertainties that we've had to this point?
Yeah, so I think the biggest story for Caterpillar in China is right now actually competitive pricing pressure. Their product sales are facing a lot of pressure from other competitors in China who can sell at a lower price. And the China-U.S. tariff situation definitely has not helped them improve their pricing in that area. So we look for them to gain some traction, whether it's repricing products or changing some of their manufacturing in China right now.
Construction for Caterpillar, I noticed in North America, was maybe not as strong as had been anticipated, or am I reading that wrong?
Yes, that's definitely where we see the big bright spot right now with Caterpillar is U.S. Non-residential construction and infrastructure spending for their products. That's where we see the strength going through 2020.
Okay. Elizabeth, want to thank you for being here. Sarat,
thank you so much.
One other thing that we'd be looking for, what would you tell people to be on the lookout today?
I think the key is going to be guidance from a lot of these blue chip companies. They see a lot more in the world than we do. And in fact, if China, which we know is kind of discounted, it's really the rest of the world. How is Europe doing? How is South America doing? And I think even India. So that's going to give us some guidance, because what's happened right now in the U.S. is our 10-year's now gone to 1.6. So you've got this whole issue of, is that because the world is slowing down, or is that because people are getting defensive because of the virus, and immediately what you do, the first thing you do is buy the most liquid bond in the world? And I think that's where kind of investors are trying to figure out which of those, or is it a combination of the two? If it's a combination of the two, I think the buying opportunity is going to be much better in the next couple of weeks.
So you think the 10-year falls below 1.5, or is more likely to hit 2% first?
I do think in the short term it goes down a little bit lower, because we are still not over kind of what this virus is all about. So I think short term that could actually pull down a couple of the other sectors. You've seen the financials get hurt, you've seen the energy get hurt, which is kind of ironic because all the value sectors are getting really badly hurt, but the growth sectors are doing fine. That's because you've got the secular growth stories of the Amazons, the Teslas, the momentum stocks that are really acting well, and it's kind of more, I think, trading at that point.
Sarat, thank you. Great to see you.
Meantime, the UK about to leave the EU, marking one of the biggest political and economic shifts in modern Europe. And guess who's here? The one and only Wilfred Frost joins us with what is next after a tumultuous 3.5-year departure process.
Tumultuous indeed, Andrew. It's been an incredible 3 years and 7 months since that actual vote took place. But tonight the UK will finally leave what has been a roller coaster ride since that voting day. 3 prime ministers, 2 general elections, endless debate about Irish backstops and very much more. But what next? Well, the UK is legally and constitutionally sovereign from tomorrow. It's still part of the single market for the next 11 months. This transition period is aimed at allowing both sides to negotiate a smooth future trading agreement, or failing that, to prepare for a no deal. Either way, it's clear that Boris Johnson is seeking a clearer separation long-term with no regulatory alignment compared to Theresa May. During this transition period, citizens of both sides will continue to benefit from free movement. And for this grace period, the UK will pay a divorce settlement of about 32 billion. That's down from the original figure of 40 billion because some payments have been made already since March 2019. So today, not a crunch period necessarily for markets due to that transition period, but unquestionably a hugely significant day in the history of the UK as it officially leaves the European Union. There we go.
Have you been back recently?
Christmas time, yeah. I've been back regularly since.
Keep your chin up, Wilf. Keep your chin up.
What was the feeling you got from people?
I think the biggest change we've had recently was the result of the December 12th general election. So whatever people's views are on leave or remain, the paralysis largely came about because of the lack of a authoritative leader, because there was no parliamentary majority. And the one little transition I think you've had in sentiment, even today on the day that people are leaving, is an inevitability that will happen now. And I think that does help the healing process, though clearly there is still desperate polarization. And the big judge of whether Brexit is a success or not won't just be in 5 years' time if the economy is performing better than it perhaps otherwise would, but is whether some of those people that didn't want it to happen come along and accept that it's been good or not for the country. So there's a lot of big asks still to get to that point, but that's an important part of it.
Big asks still. Okay, I got that. What was I?
Is that my pronunciation?
No, it's okay.
It's very. You gotta make sure you enunciate.
Enunciate. That's okay. So, trade deal.
going to happen, probably.
Yeah.
Even with the anger over the Huawei, the administration didn't get everything it wanted.
So that's also the official start date where the UK is permitted to have new trade negotiations is as of tomorrow, and the US will clearly be very high up on the list. Some interesting comments from Secretary of State Pompeo, who's in London, of course, this week. And it does seem the tone since that decision on Huawei from the US administration has been one of disappointment, not one of fury, and that the US-UK trade deal could still be something that could happen relatively quickly as trade deals go. Which is
Huawei, by the way, did not look at that as a win. They looked at the decision from the UK as disappointing on their part, but only because we had a representative on
I saw that. I mean, he would have, I think, framed it that way regardless. And either way, it hasn't seemingly led to an outrage response from the president, which is important.
Good. Well, Rolf, you'll be back next hour with an update on Megxit. So we'll so stick around.
Or not.
For that. You're not. No, that's not on. I thought I saw that in the rundown.
You dropped it, Joe. Yeah, I heard that they were the one blocking.
Thanks, Will. When we come back, you may be on the lookout for skimmers at the ATM or gas pump, but now there's a digital twist that has hit some well-known companies. We've got that story coming up. We'll tell you what to beware. Before we head to the break, though, let's check on the markets. As we mentioned, Dow and the S&P both under pressure this morning. Dow down by about 135 points. S&P futures indicated down by close to 7. NASDAQ indicated up by 42 points, thanks in large part to Amazon and the strength that it's seeing in its pre-market trading, too. We'll be back after a quick break.
This CNBC program is sponsored by Global X ETFs. Learn more at globalxetfs.com.
No one likes to feel stuck, boxed in, or held back, especially by something like your cloud. It's a problem, but the IBM Cloud is different. It's open and flexible enough to manage all your apps and data securely, anywhere, across all your clouds. So it can help take on anything, from rebooking flights on the fly to restocking shelves on demand, without getting in your way.
The biggest week of earnings, with half of the Dow and a third of the S&P set to report.
Boeing is reporting its first annual net loss since 1997.
I believe in this airplane. I believe in the engineering of it.
We've closed over half of our stores in China, and it is a very dynamic situation.
We are estimating that we're going to grow 28 to 30%.
This company's a juggernaut. iPhone beats, wearables up 44%.
It is an earnings abundanza.
Watch or listen to CNBC live on the app.
Save 50% and subscribe to The Telegraph as Britain embarks on a bright new future. Treat yourself to a standard digital subscription in our Brexit sale. Pay just £25 for your first 6 months of intelligent insight and trusted opinion. Subscribe today at telegraph.co.uk.
Hey, have you heard? The Mayor of London has launched his latest van scrappage scheme to help tackle London's toxic air. Small businesses or sole traders like me with a polluting van could now get £7,000, which you could use to trade up to a Euro 6 vehicle. And you could get an extra £2,500 towards running costs if you go electric. The scheme is now even easier to qualify for, and it's open to any businesses with up to 50 employees, like mine. So, I'm going to search TfL scrappage to see if I'm eligible and apply. You should do the same. To the Mayor of London and TfL. Every journey matters.
Welcome back, everybody. British Airways, Puma, Ticketmaster, these companies are among many around the country that have been recent targets of dangerous cyber attacks. It's a crime that allows criminals to steal your personal information as you type it into an online shopping website. Companies are on high alert. Rahel Solomon has our Hacking America story, high-tech skimming.
Every time you type
type a key onto this form, the attacker code is actually stealing that and sending it off to another server.
In other words, I've just become the victim of e-skimming.
Even if you were to change your mind, the attacker already has the information.
This is just a demo, but the same attack has hit many retailers. E-skimming works like an ATM skimmer, except it's all online. Criminals steal credit card numbers and personal information like addresses from e-commerce sites. They do it by inserting malicious code onto a merchant's website, by breaking into the web server directly, or they can also break into a common server that supports thousands of different online shopping websites to steal from all of them. Randy Parkman of cybersecurity company Binary Defense helps clients thwart attacks.
If the attacker can break into that server, they can update the JavaScript and affect a lot of online shopping websites all at once.
The FBI says e-skimming, or mage cart as it's often called, has been on its radar for nearly 7 years, but it's becoming more prevalent. Section Chief Herb Stapleton is with the FBI's Cyber Division.
Millions of credit card numbers have been stolen, even over the course of the past 2 years. We can say that safely, and that's probably just the numbers that we see reported to the FBI are almost certainly an underestimate.
The threat impacts companies large and small, including British Airways, Puma, Ticketmaster, and most recently, American Outdoor Brands Corporation, the company formerly known as Smith & Wesson, told CNBC they were the victims of e-skimming, saying in an email, "Our first action upon learning of the attack was to disable the checkout function on the site to reduce the amount of individuals impacted. We believe the attack impacted approximately 780 individuals on the site before it was disabled." British Airways, Puma, and Ticketmaster did not respond to our request for comment.
If we put up a wall, they're building a ladder or a tunnel or a way to go around it.
And convictions are difficult because the criminals are often outside of the U.S. Companies that fall victim to e-skimming can face stiff fines for not having the systems in place to protect their clients' private information. British Airways is facing a nearly $230 million fine by the UK government after it found poor security led to the data of 500,000 customers being compromised. Companies can protect themselves by staying on top of system updates.
The most important thing is to monitor what's going on that web server itself. There are logs being created all the time. You need to monitor those to make sure that there's no signs of an attacker who's logging on and taking control of the web server.
And earlier this week, Interpol announced the first arrest of an e-skimming gang. The 3 men in Indonesia allegedly compromised hundreds of websites to steal credit card information and personal data. They reportedly used the stolen cards to buy electronics and luxury goods and then resold them for a profit, guys.
Rahel, it's interesting that British Airways is being fined for this because I'm guessing that's because in the UK and the EU, the fines are much higher for situations like this, or the fines exist at all. We hear about things happening all the time here from every retailer, and I don't think I've ever heard about a fine getting handed out.
Right. So the UK, this would be a record fine if this actually is in place. This would be a record fine for British Airways. I think perhaps a message that they take these privacy issues very seriously, but American corporations can also be fined if they found EU citizens where their data was compromised. So, you know, it can affect a lot of retailers, and Randy Parkman told us that they're hearing increasingly from retailers who are concerned about this, because who wants to send that email that you shopped on our website, your data was compromised?
Am I right as a consumer to think the bigger the company, the more tech savvy the company, like an Amazon, I'm probably not going to have to deal with something like that?
So we haven't heard about it with Amazon. So you're right to think that, and yet it really impacts both large companies because they're seeing more sales, and so, right, they're seeing more sales, and so they're a bigger target perhaps, but then they also do usually have better security systems in place. And then with the smaller and more medium-sized retailers, a lot of them share some of the coding for their payment portals, and so they're also vulnerable. So it really just depends.
Rahel, it's great to see you. It's great to see this package. And by the way, welcome for your first time on the Squawk Set.
Thanks, guys. Good to be here.
Great to have you here. Rahel Solomon.
All right, coming up, the CEO of HPE on environmental sustainability, how the company is creating value for shareholders. Then later, the Netflix docuseries Pandemic couldn't have come at a more crucial time with the outbreak of the coronavirus. We're going to speak to Dr. Sira Madad, who is featured in the series and is the senior director of New York City's Special Pathogens Program. Squawk Box coming right back.
Time now for today's Aflac trivia question. How many people watched last year's Super Bowl? The answer when CNBC Squawk Box returns.
Coach Saban convinced us. We're committing to Aflac.
Why Aflac?
Because health insurance doesn't always pay at all.
Aflac.
After surgery, we had extra bills, follow-up visits, deductibles. We thought health insurance had us covered for everything, but it didn't.
Aflac gives you money directly to help you with those things.
I want to thank my wife, my mom, the duck.
Get help with expenses health insurance doesn't cover. Get to know us at Aflac.com.
Okay. Bounced the trade idea off my firm. Same old lines. I mean, show me some technical indicators, proprietary research, something.
That's why I like Schwab. They help look out for your blind spots.
Come on, Johnny, you got this, buddy.
Speaking of blind spots.
It's time to trade up. Schwab helps you see the full picture with powerful intel and trading specialists who get it. Plus, get commission-free online stock, ETF, and options trades. Schwab, the better place for traders.
Exploring the heart of historic Europe with Viking, you'll get closer to iconic landmarks, to local life and legendary treasures as you sail on board our patented, award-winning Viking longships. You'll enjoy many extras, including Wi-Fi, cultural enrichment from ship to shore, and engaging excursions. Viking, voted #1 river cruise line by Condé Nast readers. Learn more at vikingcruises.com.
Like heaven for a mattress.
I will never love another human more than I love my bed. Life is too precious not to be sleeping on the comfiest mattress ever.
This is the best night's sleep we've had in years.
Join over 1 million happy sleepers and visit Casper.com today.
Interactive Brokers charges 3.06% for a $100,000 margin loan. Do you know how much your broker charges? Upwards from 7.82% at Fidelity or Schwab to as high as 8.5 to 8.75% at Ameritrade or E-Trade. Move your account to Interactive Brokers and save at least $4,700 or much more if you're trading big bucks.
Analysis and first trading action after the latest numbers from retail and entertainment giant Amazon. Where is the company delivering for investors? Squawk on the Street today, 9 a.m. Eastern. Watch or listen live on the CNBC app. Now the answer to today's Aflac trivia question. How many people watched last year's Super Bowl? The answer, 98.2 million. These ratings were the lowest since 2008, when 97.5 million people watched the game.
Welcome back to Squawk Box. HPE set to host the third quarterly Just Call, where the idea is to speak directly with the public about non-financial metrics, including how the company treats its employees, the environment, and community. Joining us right now is Hewlett-Packard Enterprise's CEO, Antonio Neri. He is HPE ranked 17 on the Just 100 list. Before we talk about your call coming up, I want to ask you first about a couple of other big issues that are in the news, namely Ginni Rometty stepping down at IBM, somebody you've competed against for the last 20 years. What do you make of this switch and transition, and how do you assess her legacy?
Well, good morning. Thanks for having me today. I have tremendous respect for Ginni. Obviously, she guided the company through a major transformation, and I think she believed in the strategy, and she executed very aggressive against the strategy, and probably she felt this is the right time to transition. Obviously, to be seen where the company goes from here, but there is always a time to move on, and I wish her well.
People will second guess always what people did during this period from a stock performance perspective relative to the NASDAQ. A lot of metrics, pretty much any, during this period. It's hard to look at this as a strict win unless you say to yourself that the business was going off a cliff otherwise. How do you assess that component of it?
Well, think about the composition of the business, right? So obviously they had an infrastructure business that they divested over a period of time. They transformed more into a services software company, and obviously they thought about AI and the cloud business. Right. And they made a very bold acquisition with Red Hat. I think those are the ins and outs that you have to navigate through it. Right. And I think, the jury's still out about the possibility to compete and win. But ultimately, she repositioned the company what she felt with the board, where the future would be, and now is the next chapter.
Two other hot topics I just want to get to you with. One is the coronavirus and what you think it's going to do in terms of impacting your own business and what you're already seeing.
Yeah, obviously the coronavirus is a serious issue that we all need to watch and monitor and take action on it. In our case, obviously, we have a very small population in China because we set up a different structure in China a couple of years back. But ultimately, I think with the Chinese New Year and understanding the impact to suppliers, we're monitoring. Right now, we are not overly concerned, but obviously something that we have to continue to watch.
The other question I wanted to ask you about is your namesake, but not the same company, so people are very clear. Xerox is an HP not being your HP.
HP Inc.
Correct, but I'm just curious what your view is of that whole situation.
I don't have any insights to speak from knowledge. Obviously, when you watch from outside, to me, that doesn't make any sense. But
which part doesn't make any sense?
I mean, the fact that ultimately you think about the synergies associated with this.
You would continue to say talk to the hand, which is what they're doing still.
No, I think the HP Inc. has a clear strategy how to create value for shareholders and stakeholders. And Enrique Lores is someone that I respect tremendously. He and I worked together for many, many years. And I think he's on the right path. But obviously something that the boards and...
You think Xerox is on the right path?
I cannot speak about them. Honestly, I have no knowledge. I have not thought about their performance or anything at all at this point in time. So I think it's more about what is the opportunity to drive value through this combination. And honestly,
you're going to be on this Just call in just a minute.
Yes.
Or I should say in about a little over an hour, I think, from now. One of the things you have done quite successfully is really try to refocus the culture of the company in terms of how you're thinking about shareholders versus all of these other stakeholders. We just got back from Davos, where literally the whole sort of stakeholder concept has become the thing. The question I'd have is, do you think that shareholders or investors are rewarding you for this approach?
Well, I think it's very important. It's becoming way, way more at the top of the list of the conversation we have with shareholders. I personally engage, quite a bit, throughout the years. In fact, this week we had a couple of our board members talking to one of our shareholders, one of the largest, and this was the top of mind. This was the main topic of the discussion: environmental, social governance, and governance in general, including inclusion, diversity, sustainability, and so forth. Definitely is becoming way more important than ever before, because in the end, what the shareholders value is investing in companies.
But how much pressure do you feel on yourself? I mean, I'm thinking of what Microsoft just did 2 weeks ago with this carbon negative program. It's going to cost them real money. I mean, there's nothing free about this. And whether you think that's going to, you guys are going to have a meeting and say, okay, we're going to have to do this too. It's going to hit profits. It just can't not.
Well, just to be clear, we are not going to we already have this conversation throughout, because it's core of our DNA, core of our purpose. If you think about it, the core or purpose of our company is to advance the way people live and work and use innovation to solve some of the big societal problems we deal every day. And carbon footprint, energy consumption, and so forth are top of our agenda. We have put very bold goals for ourselves. And ultimately, you can do it through innovation. It's not just about investing more. It's being smart about it. Think about this at the beginning of the innovation cycle.
Okay. Antonio, it's great to see you.
Thank you.
And we look forward to hearing you. You can listen in on the quarterly Just conference call. It happens at 8 a.m., about a half an hour from now. You should keep Squawk on while you're doing it. You can listen and register at justcapital.com.
Before we head to a break, let's check on some market movers this morning. Caterpillar shares dropping after the company offered some weak guidance. You can see right now that stock is down by about 1.5%. Honeywell trading higher after an earnings beat and guidance that was roughly in line with what the street had been anticipating. Also, Amazon, take a look at this. Shares of Amazon soaring after crushing expectations for the fourth quarter. The company's market cap surging above $1 trillion in the pre-market trading. In fact, they only needed to get to about $2,016. That stock right now looks like it would open at $2,066 a share. Squawk Box will be right back.
Who says our bank isn't tech enough? Everybody look at your phones. the design thinking, digital engineering, security, blockchain, and we will be first to market. Yes.
When do we launch?
Unfortunately, in 2 or 3 hours.
Why the delay?
Cognizant is helping banks use digital technologies at scale to advance speed to market.
Apps are used everywhere except work. Why is that? Is it because people love filling out forms? Maybe they like checking with their supervisor to see how much vacation time they have. Or sending corporate their expense reports? I'll let you in on a little secret. They don't. By empowering employees to manage their own tasks, Paycom frees you to focus on the business of business.
To learn more, visit paycom.com.
We tried 2 different real estate agents who both promised great results, but after almost a year on the market, we still hadn't sold our house. Then we found HomeLight, which promised to get us in touch with the top agents in our area. We went with the agent they recommended, and it worked. HomeLight's agent sold our house when the others couldn't.
HomeLight compares data on millions of agents, so you know you're getting the best agent for your needs.
Oh yeah, we recommend HomeLight.
Get started for free today at HomeLight.com.
You gotta tell me the whole story.
I have this feeling I'm trapped.
There's gotta be a reason.
I'm not crazy.
Keys. Check. Phone. Check. 70s playlist downloaded. Check. Nice. There's one more thing you should check before you leave. Your travel. There's a new cycleway under construction between Kensington Olympia and Brentford Town Centre, so expect delays due to lane closures at the junction of Kew Bridge Road and Chiswick High Road. Plan ahead at tfl.gov.uk. To the Mayor of London and TfL, every journey matters.
TuneIn is your ticket to on-the-glass NHL action. With the NHL on TuneIn, listen to every one-timer, hear every stick save, and experience every goal for every team across the league.
Featuring home and away feeds for all 31 teams.
TuneIn brings the excitement of the NHL home to you all season long. Plus, with NHL On Demand, skate back in time and relive the best moments of the season while listening to past games in their entirety. Listen to the NHL on TuneIn.
Search NHL today.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Earnings just out from ExxonMobil. It looks like the adjusted profit comes in at 41 cents a share. That was 2 cents short of what the street was expecting. Revenue was, though, above expectations, and right now the stock is trading up by about 20 cents. We'll take a look through at some of the further numbers on this. But again, ExxonMobil looks like it's trading up, even though it was a little shy on the bottom line number.
We've been asking business leaders about the coronavirus and their concerns about an outbreak. Joining us now from Miami is another business leader, one with many customers in China, Michael Rubin, executive chairman of Fanatics and of Rue Gilt Group, as well as a partner of the Philadelphia 76ers and the New Jersey Devils. What a life. Everybody wants to be him, I think. Oh, that's just me subliminally talking. Michael, you're in Miami. Gee, what's going on?
Joe, I'm just surprised you actually called me a business leader. That was a very warm introduction from you.
You know that you are. You know what leaders do. Leaders lead. We heard about that. What is the coronavirus affecting
I'm missing you guys down. I'm missing you guys down here. It's we got to get you guys down here covering the Super Bowl and even more action.
We should do it from, and this would have been a good one. Yeah, we did. And this would have been better. This would have been the Miami. I'm sure that you're going to do some great stuff this weekend. We are envious. Any effect on your business about coronavirus? You have to think of all this stuff as a leader of a billion-dollar company, multi-billion.
Yeah, of course you need to think about these things. The truth be told, our exposure to mainland China is pretty small. We make, less than a few percentage points of our merchandise in China. We don't really have any employees in mainland China. But of course, you need to watch these things closely to make sure that what's a problem in a specific area of the world doesn't become a much bigger problem. But as of right now, I'd say, we're pretty underexposed there. We are building our China business in a pretty aggressive way, but it's still small. Of our over $3 billion of revenue this year, China's like 1% of our business, just to put it in perspective for you.
Right. So I guess you're selling a few 49ers and Chiefs jerseys at this point, huh? Are you getting a lot of Mahomes interest? Mahomes?
Yeah, I got to tell you, sales are absolutely spectacular. When we look at the revenue from the championship games 2 weeks ago, we were actually up 120% in revenue against last year, and up 30% against the all-time record, which was 2 years ago when the Eagles and Patriots played each other. You've got just an unbelievable matchup now. The Chiefs, they haven't been in the Super Bowl for 50 years. The San Francisco 49ers have been, 6 Super Bowls. So there's so much built-up demand. I mean, sales are absolutely spectacular on both teams. And one of the things interesting, it's one of the first times ever that the sales are relatively similar. Either outcome is going to yield the same results for Fanatics on the e-commerce side. From a wholesale perspective, Kansas City's a little bit of a stronger market, but we're thrilled with how good business is.
I don't know. I mean, Mahomes is going to get the biggest contract ever. I would think that you might sell more. Well, Kansas City, San Francisco, maybe not. Maybe not.
No, listen. His individual jersey is the #1 selling jersey. So I think we've joked about this before.
Yeah.
We used to always say that other than death, taxes, and Tom Brady jerseys, nothing was consistent. Tom Brady was probably the #1 selling jersey over the past 20 years. Just in the last couple months, Lamar Jackson became the #1 selling jersey this season, and then Patrick ran away with it, and he's now the #1 selling jersey for the year. So that is the single #1 selling item we have is Patrick's jersey, and they're selling incredibly fast. But there's other great players too. Jimmy G from the 49ers, Bosa, Kittle. I mean, we've got lots of players. Kelsey. I mean, we've got lots of players selling jerseys, and that's it's amazing in the NFL when you have players that emerge and just become absolute heroes, and how much their fans support them.
So I don't know if you take the point. I mean, 1.5, I think, is where it is with the Chiefs. Would you do that? Would you just bet on the overall winner? Who do you? Where are you? What do you think is going to be? What would you do if you were me?
You guys. Well, if I were you, I would not bet it because I can't encourage gambling. But for me, I can tell you that I always go with my heart, and I'm pretty friendly with the owner of the 49ers, and it's the outcomes are Kansas City's a little bit better economically because of the wholesale business and how much more retail there is in Kansas City than San Francisco. But I'm rooting for the 49ers, and I hope that they get the victory.
I guess I got to ask you, as a you're a huge NBA.
But it's a lot less complicated. It's a lot less complicated when the Eagles were playing the Patriots. I was rooting for the Patriots, and everyone in Philadelphia wanted to kill me. So at least this is more peaceful. I've got 2 teams that people don't want to kill me for, and I can root for the 49ers in somewhat peace and quiet.
Right. So Kobe, and I mean, just tragic. It's a big family, the NBA. I mean, just any comments on what it's been like to show up at games now after that? I mean, anyone really want to play at this point? Or they play harder? What's happening?
I mean, it's so complicated to even get it through your head. I just talked to Kobe last week. I got to know, I was fortunate. I got to, spend a lot of time with Kobe starting about 7 years ago. The one thing I'll say about Kobe is what made him successful on the court, and that absolutely, working harder than anybody else, was the same thing I saw from him in business. I remember when we first met in 2013, he would literally call me before a game, after a game. There were sometimes he reached out 10, 20 times in a day because he had so many questions about how to do things in business. And I said back in 2013, I said, this guy's second act is going to be better than his first act. And you're talking about a guy who won 5 championships, and he was so incredible driving, the entire sport, this team on the court. But, his intensity off the court was the savior even more. And you saw the same thing with his family. So, I think the world's heartbroken. I think it's not just the basketball world. I think everyone's trying to do what Kobe would want us to do. I ended up having a conversation with Steph Curry after we played the Warriors earlier this week, and we were both looking at each other saying, like, Kobe would want us to find a positive in this and find out how to make you stronger. And to be honest, I don't think anyone's found it yet, but I think that's what he would want. But obviously, I think the world's devastated, and we've lost not only one of the best basketball players in the world, but just a great human being.
I'm surprised that you didn't have some type of joint business venture. Did you with Kobe at all? 'Cause you have an eye for talent, and I'm just surprised you guys didn't find anything to do together.
Well, we were always talking about different business things to do together. And we actually, when I was working about the Carolina Panthers, I spent a lot of time with him talking about having him part of my ownership group. I'll tell you, one of the great things with Kobe, and I remember this like it was yesterday. he told me when he was in 2013, he was just asking me question after question about business, and he started talking to me about this company called Body Armor. He's like, I love this company. I'm telling you, Michael, like my instincts are telling me this is going to be huge. And he made the investment in that company. I think he put $5.5 million in, and I think he made $250 or $400 million from, and that was his first investment. So here's this guy, whoever, so many people could be skeptical and say, hey, is he going to be successful when he transitions from basketball to business? And the first investment he made like literally a 50x plus. So, but that's Kobe. I mean, he was just an absolute winner in everything that he did. And, the whole world's going to miss him dearly.
Right. All right, Michael.
Great to see you.
We're envious. Have fun.
Have fun down there.
It's going to be great. You're going to be disappointed, I think, when it's all said and done. But you're friends with the owner, so that's fine. If you want to, if that's your excuse for being on the wrong side of things. But anyway,
hold on. Can I say one question?
Hold on. I need to know who. So you've got the Chiefs, Andrew and Becky. Who are you guys rooting for?
Kansas City, sorry.
I'm with Kansas City just because it's
3 for 3.
Well, but so here's the question though I have, which is what jerseys have you printed extra stuff? Like, how does this work?
We're in great stock in both teams and all the key players, and we're printing jerseys like crazy, and the demand's been up 120%. So we're just every day we're printing them.
And what happens to the shirt? Because I assume you have to do shirts that say both sides win, right?
So here's the great thing about e-commerce. You don't actually print them until the team's won, and then you print them immediately. We have printing presses all throughout the country. So we've got printing presses in Kansas City, printing presses in San Francisco, and then also near our warehouses. And you actually don't hit print until you have a winner, other than for the retailers, and they buy some of those T-shirts on what you call kill pricing. If they win, they get them. If they don't, they pay a discounted price. But most of it's done through online, and that you don't print until the championship is on ground.
So we're not all in this.
Yes, I wish you would.
I'll go to the other, just to make it interesting. So we'll talk about it on Monday.
You're not betting anyway.
You're now, Michael.
You're not betting anyway.
Coming up when we return, this morning's market movers, and then the threat of a global outbreak of the coronavirus growing. Dr. Sarah Madad is going to be with us, who's featured in this Netflix docuseries Pandemic. It's going to be our very special guest. Squawk returns right after this.
New York State is taking business to the next level, supporting innovative companies that will shape tomorrow, and building workforce development and tuition-free college programs to generate the talent companies need. With a $150 billion investment in state-of-the-art modern infrastructure and a nation-leading commitment to low-cost clean energy, New York is doing more than any other state to build for the future of your business. New York State, the state of the future. Learn more at esd.ny.gov.
Sometimes the pressures of today's world can make it tough to take care of yourself, but Nature's Bounty has innovative ways to help you maintain balance and help keep you active and well-rested. Because, hey, tomorrow's coming up fast. Nature's Bounty, because you're better off healthy.
When you're looking to hire, you can find just the right person on Indeed. Indeed gives you tools like online skills tests, which help a candidate show they are the right hire. We'll also give you this groundhog that will come out when the right candidate appears.
Great. You got the job.
Okay, there's no groundhog, but skills tests for sure. Try skills tests free when you post your job at Indeed.com/groundhog.
Most homeowners draw a blank when asked what their home projects should cost. That's why at Home Advisor, you can see what others paid for similar jobs in your area. Start your next home project knowing what you should pay. Go to homeadvisor.com or download the free app.
Yeah, we're going to need 500 more units pronto.
We don't have that kind of money right now, Carl.
You will in 10 minutes. That's how long it will take you to get funding through Cabbage. I know. I'm 10 minutes in the future spokes guy.
Cabbage. Business funding in as little as 10 minutes.
What's happening?
Thank you. It's an honor to tell you that Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need.
I love you!
Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
I used to be a little cranky. Dealing with our finances really haunted me. Thankfully, I've got QuickBooks, and the live bookkeeper is helping customize it for our business.
You're all set up.
Great!
Get set up right with a live bookkeeper with Intuit QuickBooks.
She lived on the edge, living a life she couldn't afford.
Deception 90210. A hot Hollywood hustler rules a major motion picture fraud. All new American Greed. Monday, 10 Eastern. CNBC.
Welcome back to Squawk Box. I'm Dominic Chu. We are wrapping up the busiest week of earnings season so far with the slate of big names. We're going to start with shares of Caterpillar, which are down about 2% or so, and roughly 100,000 shares of pre-market volume. The biggest maker of construction equipment reported earnings that topped analyst estimates, but revenues did fall shy of forecasts. And CAT forecast full-year profits below analyst consensus estimates. They cited, among other things, global economic uncertainty. Remember, CAT is considered by many investors to be a barometer of global industrial activity. Those shares down fractionally. Next up, you got shares of Colgate-Palmolive, the company behind big consumer brands, including its namesake toothpaste and dish soaps, is up over 4% pre-market on around 100,000 shares of volume. It matched Wall Street earnings estimates, but revenues were better than forecast, and traders are keying in on a better growth in a key measure of sales that strips out the effects of acquisitions and currency fluctuations. Those shares up 4.5%. And then we're going to end on shares of Honeywell, which are down fractionally on light pre-market volume at this stage. The industrial company behind everything from aerospace systems to home climate controls posted a mixed report. Profits were better, but sales fell shy of forecasts. Honeywell also gave a full-year forecast that was below some estimates, saying that Boeing's continued grounding of the 737 MAX jet will be a headwind. And we've got a huge slate of earnings coming up, including oil giants ExxonMobil and Chevron. Keep it right here. Squawk Box will be back after the break.
Never seen a razor like this before. Shaving has never been this easy.
The future of shaving is here. Introducing Flawless New Razor. It's the world's first 18-karat gold-plated technological marvel with 200 facets of hair removal precision. A new way to shave. So smooth and precise, it won't nick or cut or leave bumps or burns, even in your most sensitive areas. A pivoting head glides and contours effortlessly over every curve. You can shave up or down for silky smooth skin.
It is such a close shave, and it's not like anything I've used before.
Rechargeable, instant, painless, waterless shaving, anywhere, anytime. And with its LED light, you'll never miss a hair. Get yours now at newrazor.com for only $39.99 or call 1-800-595-5883. Order right now and your shipping is free.
This is the razor that every woman wants.
Do you worry about going to the dentist? Well, relax. The Carefree Dental Card is now available in your area. Call the number on your screen and we'll send your actual card at no cost today. With the Carefree Dental Card, you go to the dentist whenever you need and you instantly pay a lot less. The Carefree Dental Card is just $15.95 a month. So call now and make going to the dentist carefree.
Call 1-800-478-0809 to receive your free Carefree Dental Card information kit.
Life Room by Four Seasons, where outdoor living meets future technology. No matter your style or budget, Four Seasons has got you covered. Simple shade from the sun? Covered. Outdoor dining and style? Covered. Need additional living space? Oh yeah, that too. Call today and arrange your free design consultation. Four Seasons, we've got you covered.
We continue to follow the coronavirus outbreak. There are now more than 10,000 confirmed cases worldwide and 213 deaths. Eunice Yoon is in Beijing. Good morning again, Eunice.
Hey guys, well, I'm at the Beijing train station, and in a Chinese context, there are very few people here. People are coming back to Beijing, but the Transport Ministry said that Lunar New Year travel is down significantly this year. Overall trips were down 16.5%, and on January 30th, the day when most people had expected to be traveling back to the Chinese capital. The transport ministry said that trips are down 84%. A lot of this is because this is supposed to be the first day when China was going to be back to work. The Chinese government, though, had extended the holiday to next Monday, but because of that, people have been pretty much holed up in their homes and concerned about going out, and that's been having a lot of strain on the day-to-day life for people here. The shops have been closed, restaurants, for the most part, also shut, and that is just a little bit of a window into the economic impact that this potentially could have for this year. In fact, Goldman Sachs had said that they're revising downwards now their 2020 GDP outlook from 5.9% to 5.4%. They also see an impact on the U.S. economy for the first quarter, but don't think it's going to last for much of the year. Guys?
Eunice, thank you very much. For more on how cities can prepare for coronavirus, let's welcome special pathogens expert Dr. Saira Madad. She is with the New York City Health and Hospital Systems-wide Special Pathogens Program, also the Center for Global Healthcare Special Pathogens Preparedness. Dr. Madad is also featured in the Netflix docuseries Pandemic. And Doctor, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
We've heard a lot of reports of what companies in China and companies in the United States are doing to sort of prepare for this. In some cases, companies here are cutting back, saying they're not sending people to China anymore and asking their employees who are there to stay home. What would you be telling companies to do? Is that the right move, and what else should they be doing?
Well, I think obviously this is a very concerning, highly infectious disease outbreak. We don't know much about what the epidemiology and the severity of the disease yet, and there's been a number of different measures being taken across the world in terms of preparing and responding to this outbreak. And as you've mentioned, businesses are obviously, turning back, shutting doors, things like that. I think we just need to take a step back and just look and see what is actually happening and put things into context. So here in New York City, we are preparing very aggressively. Right now, we have no cases as per the CDC. The risk to the general American public is low. However, with that said, these past 24 hours, there's been a number of different developments. First, this has been one of the most fatal days for China. There's been, over 40 deaths being reported in the past 24 hours and up to 200 cases of deaths being reported. We had the first, person-to-person transmission here in the United States that was diagnosed in the past 24 hours. And there's been a number of cases, as you mentioned, over 10,000. So in the city, one of our biggest steps is making sure that we're identifying these patients when they come through our doors to New York City Health and Hospitals or any other system that they present to. So I think some of the advice is just basic seasonal flu, washing your hands, getting your flu shot.
How can you determine a coronavirus from the seasonal flu?
So the initial signs and symptoms are very similar. The novel coronavirus, it's fever, cough, shortness of breath, similar to what seasonal flu may present with. But the caveat is folks may have a travel history or, have contact with somebody that has traveled. With seasonal flu, you obviously may have a travel history, but perhaps not to the epicenter of where this outbreak is happening. So it is difficult. And this is why if you want to lower the burden to healthcare systems, get your flu shot.
I know it's still early days, but just trying to figure out how big of a concern this is. I mean, people have pointed to the idea that the flu happens here in the United States. Influenza is here and 15 million people get it. More than 8,000 people died. How does that compare to what you see in a situation like coronavirus? And again, early days, but how would you kind of measure that up?
Very concerning. This outbreak is not something that we have seen before. It can't really be compared to SARS or MERS, which is in the same family. MERS, started in 2012, spread to over 27 countries and over 2,000 cases. What we're seeing with the novel coronavirus outbreak, over 10,000 cases, and the outbreak just started about a month ago. So we can't really compare apples to apples right now.
We've heard on the early going that the mortality rate is closer to 3%. Is that likely to be something that sticks, or is it just that it's so early that maybe you see the death rate increase?
So it's still very early, and while we have a case count of 10,000, we have mathematical models showing that the potential actual case count may be in the hundreds of thousands. So there may be a number of underreporting cases happening around the world. So with that said, even if the fertility rate is 2%, that's based on the number of cases we know today. So if we're actually saying over 100,000 cases, the overall severity of the disease actually goes down.
Is that good or bad?
That's good.
Very good, but it also means that this may spread more rapidly, and it certainly seems to be spreading faster than SARS.
That is right. Unfortunately, with this current outbreak, with SARS and MERS, people become symptomatic, and that's when you can obviously start spreading the disease. With the novel coronavirus, you have folks that are asymptomatic, which means that they could be at the bus, they could be in the subway, they could be at your local grocery store, and they can be able to shed the virus or infect others, but they're not exhibiting signs and symptoms.
So all of these things that we're watching right now of people being checked for their fever, it seems like that is completely ineffective.
That's right. So even these travel screenings that we're having in 20 different airports across the United States, while it may prove to be slightly effective, if there are asymptomatic carriers, then we are probably missing a large number of folks that are obviously evading the travel screening because they're not showing signs and symptoms.
So is it too late to stop this from spreading?
Not at all. I think that China is doing a great job, and right now majority of the cases are in mainland China, and they're doing a number of different public health measures. So it's too early to tell, but we are hopeful that this outbreak can be contained at the global scale.
Dr. Medad, thank you very much for your time. It's great to see you.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we're just learning more airlines are suspending flights to and from China amid coronavirus fears. Vietnam's Vietjet is temporarily canceling all flights in and out of the country. Air New Zealand is cutting back on its flights. Meantime, Singapore Airlines will reduce capacity on some of its routes to China, but is ruling out a full halt to its schedule.
You saw American Airlines pilots were suing to try and get back on the schedule?
I saw that, and we had interviewed him yesterday morning. Meantime, coming up when we return, take a look at futures right now. About an hour and a half before the market opens. Looks like the Dow would open down about 135 points. NASDAQ, though, looking higher, opening about 40 points higher if we did it right now. And the S&P 500 looking to open about 7 points higher. And then later, we're expecting results from Chevron. We'll go through those numbers and talk about what the impact of the coronavirus may have, what it may have on the oil world. Squawk Box returns with a big hour ahead.
You should be mad at leaf blowers. You should be mad your neighbor always wants to hang out. And you should be mad your smart fridge is unnecessarily complicated. Making ice. But you're not mad because you have E-Trade, which isn't complicated. Their tools make trading quicker and simpler so you can take on the markets with confidence. Don't get mad. Get E-Trade and start trading commission-free today.
When we started our business, we were paying like an arm and a leg for the postage. I remember setting up ShipStation. I think it was just like 1 or 2 clicks. Everything was up and running. I was printing out labels and saving money.
ShipStation saves us so much time. It makes it really easy and seamless. Pick an order, print everything you need, slap the label onto the box, and it's ready to go.
Our cost for shipping, like, we're cut in half, just like that.
ShipStation, the #1 choice of online sellers. Go to shipstation.com/TV and get 2 months free.
When the weather turns colder, you want to be cozy, but you wake up sweaty because cotton bedding and sleepwear traps heat and moisture. That's not cozy or comfortable. So we invented a one-of-a-kind, all-new performance sleep system that includes our sheets, mattress pad, comforter, and sleepwear.
With my Sheets sleep system, I keep the ideal sleep temperature throughout the entire night.
In this demonstration, steam represents your body heat. You can clearly see Sheets breathe 10 times better than cotton, moves heat away from your body, and wicks moisture. Cotton will never do that. We guarantee Sheets will be the best life-changing sleep experience you've ever had.
Call or go to trysheets.com now to sleep better every night. For a limited time, you'll get 25% off when you use the promo code on your screen, plus 2 additional pillowcases at no cost. That's a total savings of up to $100. And right now, you can enjoy special additional savings on the entire Sheets sleep system. Call or go online now and see how Sheets delivers the ultimate deep sleep experience.
Every day, the promise of better sleep is arriving on more and more doorsteps. When shipping is free and setup is simple, you can just focus on one thing: the pure comfort of an award-winning mattress. So maybe the secret to great sleep isn't such a secret after all. Try Casper today for 100 nights risk-free.
Analysis and first trading action after the latest numbers from retail and entertainment giant Amazon. Where is the company delivering for investors? Squawk on the Street today, 9 a.m. Eastern. Watch or listen live on the CNBC app.
Global health worries hitting the markets once again. Dow futures falling on fears of the spreading coronavirus.
Adding a shot in the arm to the NASDAQ, Amazon. That stock skyrocketing after the company posted a blowout fourth quarter.
And a big change at Big Blue. IBM announces Ginny Rometty will be stepping down after a tumultuous 8-year run as CEO. The final hour of Squawk Box begins right now.
Good morning and welcome to Squawk Box here on CNBC, live from the NASDAQ market site in Times Square. I'm Joe Kernan, along with Becky Quick and Andrew Ross Sorkin. U.S. equity futures at this hour down about 132 points after that turnaround yesterday, which was a little bit interesting to watch mid sort of the end of the session. Turned positively and kept going. Treasury yields this morning are down once again below the 1.6 level at 1.563.
Here are some of the stories that investors are going to be talking about today. The United States issuing a new warning: do not travel to China. The State Department raising the alert level after the WHO declared the coronavirus outbreak a public health emergency. Overnight, the death toll from the virus passed 200, and the number of confirmed cases worldwide crossed 10,000. We are now looking at 6 confirmed cases in the United States. And early this morning, the United Kingdom reported its first 2 cases of the virus. We also just learned about new flight reductions and cancellations into and out of China by Vietnam's Vietjet, Air New Zealand, and Singapore Airlines. Caterpillar posting mixed results for its latest quarter. The heavy equipment maker posted a bottom line beat but missed expectations for revenue. Caterpillar also issued a weaker than expected full year outlook. The company said that economic uncertainty around the globe would continue to pressure sales this year. And right now that stock is off by about 1.2%. And ExxonMobil also posting mixed quarterly results earlier this morning. The oil major beating on the top line but missing on the bottom line. Exxon said that short-term supply issues in its downstream and chemicals business impacted its results. Stock right now off by about 24 cents.
And big changes are coming to Big Blue. CEO Ginny Rometty stepping down in April. IBM veteran Arvind Krishna is going to be taking over that job. But shares of IBM have fallen during Rometty's tenure while the broader market has soared. John Fort joins us this morning. He is at the table with more on the incoming boss at IBM and where you think the company is headed. Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, Arvind is an interesting guy. I've had a chance to spend some time with him over the past year. Very much kind of a deep research guy, personality-wise. Not going to necessarily initially bowl you over when he walks into the room the way, as we all know, Ginny Rometty does, but very thoughtful, very incisive when talking about the business and about technology, which he is deeply into. Kind of the cloud and infrastructure guy and mind. Had a big role in engineering the Red Hat acquisition. So, I mean, in a way, you can draw some parallels to Microsoft choosing Satya Nadella in an age of cloud. But interestingly, I also look at the Steve Ballmer era going into the Satya Nadella era here. If you look at where Microsoft was from 2000 to 2014, the stock was pretty much dead money that whole time. And people thought they understood the Microsoft story. Oh my goodness, they're a dinosaur. They're never going to be any good. Steve Ballmer didn't do anything right. It turns out he didn't do everything right, but he did many things right. And so as an investor, you got to be careful here because IBM could be a similar story.
Issue here.
Well, I don't know the inner workings of IBM well enough to be able to say that specifically. Yes, they missed, timing-wise, a bunch of transitions, particularly cloud. They were trying to talk AI first instead of cloud first, and now we can see that the motion is more build out cloud and then AI on top of that. But maybe structure-wise, they can fix some things.
You think he'd be more aggressive with their cloud strategy?
I'm not sure aggression alone is IBM's problem. I think either they've got to restructure so that some of those legacy businesses that are big revenue and big profit but not growing at all get moved to the side, or find some different way to report numbers or tell the story so that that gets rationalized. But up to this point, they've been focused on how they tell the story. Right. I don't think the motion of how to tell it is really the issue.
I guess do you think they're going to change the story fundamentally? I mean, do you think that he's the kind of guy who's going to go in there and say, okay, enough with this, this, and this. We're literally just going to chop it off.
These kinds of transitions are an opportunity for that if you're ever going to do it. I don't know what he's going to do, though.
Right. Okay, John, stay where you are. Want you to be part of this next conversation. For more on the big changes at Big Blue, I want to bring in Jeffrey Sonnenfeld, Yale School of Management Senior Associate Dean for Leadership Studies and a CNBC contributor. Good morning to you, Jeffrey. You know Ginny well, you know IBM well, and I believe you know the incoming CEO well as well. So tell us where you think this company is headed.
Thanks. I do know them. Thanks for that introduction. I should also say, in the interest of full disclosure, Ginny's a friend. And IBM has been one of a couple of dozen companies over the years that has helped sponsor our CEO summits and things. But I do know Ginny. I know Jim Whitehurst back in the earliest days of, well, he came in later days of Red Hat, but I knew his founder, Bob Young, and I've gotten to know Jim when he left Delta. Did a fantastic job, CEO of Delta. And Arvind has been coming to suspiciously to the last few CEO summits at Ginny's recommendation. So we can see there's been a succession plan in the works. So I'm glad you kept John on, though. I agree with everything he said, and perhaps the only thing I disagree with so far on the show was Becky's lead-in, where she read out that this was a tumultuous tenure. This was successful in many dimensions. You take a look.
Jeff, let me defend it. I didn't write that, but I read it, and I will say the stock was down about 23% under a tenure at a time when the S&P 500 was up over 150%. So if you're looking for tumult, if you're a shareholder, you may still have some questions about it.
It was largely flat, Becky, and I know you read it and didn't write it, and we can sort of disown it the way Alan Dershowitz disowned his own testimony this week.
I would say it's fair to say tumultuous.
Well, look at Jeff Bezos.
Why is down 27%? Basically,
Jeff
flat.
Bezos, Joe, was my number one CEO of the decade for CNBC. The number two was Bob Iger of Disney. Number three was Ingenuity. You could take a look from 20, each one of them had about a dozen years of flat stock performance. Amazon, of course, didn't make money for the first 20 years. Walmart had about a dozen years where the stock was flat. And these are the same CEOs. Doug McMillan have done a fantastic job. Ivan Seidenberg had a very flat period as he was transforming
I like Ginny, too.
Verizon.
I'm just saying, if you're looking over her entire tenure, if you were a shareholder, you might have some questions about it. Now, maybe things have been set up for the future. We don't know, but I think it's very fair to point out.
The same standard for the guys. We've had 60 women lead Fortune 500s in the last half century. We've had about 8,000 guys
Ginny may have been
lead
handed
Fortune
a
500.
much worse scenario than other people who have been handed in the past.
Right.
That could be absolutely fair. We talked about that at the top, too. But, look, you pointed out that Amazon didn't make money for forever, but Jeff Bezos is still there as the stock is, and the market cap is costing $1 trillion.
That's not apples to apples at all.
That's exactly my point. Indra is here transforming at PepsiCo. It took a while for Ingenuity, but it soared. Same with Bob Iger. He had a much longer reign here. So she's been in office 8 years. The average CEO has been in office 5 years. So she's done well. The transformations, you take a look at 25% of their revenues are now coming in from the cloud. That's pretty remarkable. In fact, overall, 90% of this company, a lot of people have considered heavy metal, which is what Carly Fiorina was starting to do to HP and to destroy it, is that 90% of this company is now services and software. Only 10% of it is devices. It's pretty extraordinary. She's led on transformation. She's done well. I think on terms of transforming the values, of course, she's been a leader in responsible uses of information, transforming the knowledge worker, sort of the new-collar worker. She has talked about in terms of massive investments in training and technology, training for new skills, but also in terms of women. Bridget von Krallinger leads their blockchain business. In the blockchain world, it is dominated by the bro culture. I don't know, there are 10, 12% of blockchain executives that are women. Here at IBM, you go down layer after layer. It's led by women engineers, IBM fellows. These are people who get Nobel Prizes. It's an extraordinary changed. So I think it's remarkable on that front. I just don't know if we use the same standards for the guys that we use for the women.
Look,
I think Arvind is
I
a
like
great
Ginny
choice,
too,
but-
Jeff, but I think tumultuous is a perfectly fine way of describing it, especially if you were
Would you
sitting as a
use that
shareholder.
for Doug
of it.
McMillan at Walmart for a dozen years, or for
Doug
Ivan
McMillan's
Seidenberg?
right now got his stock up pretty sharply. So, yeah, I
With
think
the
you could say it was a tumultuous period because of look what
with the
happened
longer
with Doug.
tenure. The stock's up 25% just this year, just 2019. So
All
it's
right,
now
Jeff,
in the
you can
upswing, just
argue
like
a
John
million-
Fort was saying about Ballmer. Ballmer blew it on something. Nokia was not a good deal. It cost them, it was a $7 billion disaster purchase. This Red Hat at $32 billion, it's clearly going to be a home run for them. And it's only been 2 quarters that they've been integrating Red Hat into the business. This is going to be, and Arvind led that purchase and integration, just much the way we look at Satya and Nadella, building on some of Ballmer's successes. Again, not everything he did at Microsoft was a success, but as we just heard from the HPE CEO earlier today, they applaud what Jenny's done here at the competitor. It just takes a little. Joshua, if you look biblically, Moses got to see the promised land, but he didn't actually get to go there. It's that sometimes the leader has the vision where we're going, but doesn't quite have the time to get there. Anne Mulcahy needed a few more years at Xerox, but she pulled off an incredible transformation of a company we thought was
So,
dead
Jeff,
in the water.
why leave now? I mean, Ginny could stay. She's young.
She could say she's 62. Candidly, just between us, I think her original plan was to stay to 65. And I think with this integration of Red Hat in there, they realized somebody like Arvind, who has been leading research of thousands and thousands of engineers and the rest, much the way Satya and Nadella, to bring a genuine technologist in this space, it's the right thing to do at this life stage of the business to make sure they do it right. But he's not changing the plans. He's not tearing up her strategy. As we'll see this unfold, he's going to be the right guy to execute this. And the same with Jim Whitehurst. He's the perfect guy, actually, for what he's done in transforming Red Hat. I think there's a strong future and senior leadership in his company, too. And this is
Jeffrey.
It's an ideal team.
Thank you for making it religious, bringing in Moses, and we always appreciate seeing
Dershowitz, I mean, he's
a spiritual
Dershowitz and Moses in the same sentence.
I mean, I don't know, it was like gratuitous nastiness. Not really sure where that came from, but
that was for you, Joe.
Yeah, right.
Dershowitz is,
I won't bring up your strident defense of Jeff Immelt when he left either, with everything we've seen now after that. So I'm not going to bring that up, Jeff. Anyway, thank you.
It was mixed. It was mixed with Jeff.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and down 30% is flat. Anyway, today could mark the end of President Trump's impeachment trial in the Senate. Though Wall Street has mostly shrugged off the drama in Washington, investors are watching closely to see what happens next. Ilan Mui joins us now from D.C. Ilan, good morning.
Joe, that's right. This trial could end this evening. Democrats appear to be short of the 4 Republican senators that they need to support their call for witnesses and to extend this trial. Now, one potential swing voter, Lamar Alexander of Tennessee, said he is a no. He tweeted last night that there is, quote, no need for more evidence to prove something that has already been proven and does not meet the high bar for an impeachable offense. Another Republican who has been on the fence is Lisa Murkowski of Alaska. She told reporters that she is reviewing her notes and using some eye drops after the late session last night, and she's going to reflect on what she's heard before making a decision today. So that means there are just 2 Republicans who will likely support witnesses, Mitt Romney and Susan Collins of Maine. In a statement, Collins said that witnesses would allow each side to more fully and fairly make their case, resolve any ambiguities, and provide additional clarity. So this trial will resume at 1 p.m. today with 4 hours of closing arguments. It'll be split between the House managers and the White House defense team. Then the Senate will vote on whether to call witnesses. Unless Democrats can come up with 2 more Republicans between now and then, the Senate could move to vote on the final articles of impeachment this evening. Guys, back over to you.
Ilan, thank you very much. When we come back, what's pushing mortgage rates down close to multi-year lows? And what do those rates mean if you are a home buyer, an investor, or both? Quicken Loans CEO Jay Farner will join us with some insight on all of that. Plus, we'll talk about the impact of the coronavirus on the housing market.
enough to build a boat out of glass. But I would, using these heavy glass panels and only Flex Glue Clear. Not only does Flex Glue's powerful adhesive hold the entire glass boat together, but it's virtually invisible. Now that's Flex-tastic. Get Flex Glue Clear or any of the Flex Seal family of products at FlexSealProducts.com.
How can I deliver superior long-term results? It begins with a distinctive approach to managing money that for over 85 years has focused on keeping confidence up when markets are down. An approach where portfolio managers work well independently and even better together, who don't just invest, but are personally invested. Can I find a proven approach designed to deliver results? With Capital Group, I can. Talk to your advisor or consultant for investment risks and information.
Analysis and first trading action after the latest numbers from retail and entertainment giant Amazon. Where is the company delivering for investors? Squawk on the Street today, 9 a.m. Eastern. Watch or listen live on the CNBC app.
Whatever job you're searching for, you can find it on LinkedIn. First jobs, flexible jobs, keep me out the cold jobs, advertising jobs, accounting jobs, HR, PR, even ER jobs, East London jobs, West London jobs, extra hour in bed jobs, startup jobs, late start jobs, get home in the daylight jobs, banking jobs, building jobs, flexible working on a Friday jobs, or even voiceover jobs, which is how I ended up recording this ad. Search millions of jobs on LinkedIn and find one meant for you.
For centuries, Welsh farmers have been perfecting the balance between maintaining the spectacular landscapes of Wales while producing delicious lamb and beef. Lucky for us, we have everything we need from the elements: grass, rainwater, and a whole lot of pride. Sustainability is key as we continue to work in harmony with our surroundings to bring you a plate that's uniquely Welsh. It's in the taste. Learn more at eatwelshlamandwelshbeef.com.
Welcome back to Squawk Box this morning. Take a look at futures. Dow looks like it would open down about 150, we'll call it 158 points right now. S&P 500 looking off as well, a little over 8.5 points down. NASDAQ, though, looking up about 34 points right now.
30-year mortgage rates are close to their lowest level in 3 years, and they were down week to week in the latest measurement. Joining us right now for an in-depth look at the housing market is Jay Farner. He's Quicken Loans CEO. And Jay, it's great to see you this morning.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having me.
Let's talk a little bit about what you're seeing in the mortgage market right now. Rates are lower. Does that instantaneously drive up demand?
Yeah, demand's been great for the last 3 weeks and continues to be strong, both on the refinance side, but also on the purchase side. I think the thought that the inventory is low combined with low rates, we're seeing more purchase interest in January than probably any year in the past.
Why do you think that is?
Well, like I said, a lot of people out looking for homes. Inventory is pretty low, so people need a full-blown approval, and so people are visiting our website, calling in. I think realtors are encouraging that as well. People are getting a jump on home buying this spring. What used to happen in March now looks like it's happening in January and February.
You know, we teased going to break that we would talk about the coronavirus impact on the housing market. I had to think about that for a minute. I guess the impact is coronavirus concerns about what that means for the global economy and what could happen next have driven down interest rates. You saw the 10-year below 1.6% again pretty handily after since the beginning of the week on this. Is that the link between the two? I can't imagine another one.
Yeah, I think even coming into the year before the virus, we saw some uncertainty as we're going into an election year, and so rates were already kind of on their way down. But with the concerns now in China and now here across the entire world, I think you're 100% right. I think that's caused more uncertainty, and as you know, that drives money into the Treasury, which is, I guess, on the bright side, beneficial for mortgage interest rates. Also, coming out of the holidays, people typically take a look at their finances, look at the debt that they've accumulated over the holidays, and that also tends to drive up interest. So those two things combined are probably leading to the record high traffic that we're having.
I know it's hard, and that markets vary depending on geography, depending on price in different places. But would you say right now it's pretty much a seller's market?
Absolutely a seller's market, and some of those things that in the past we've seen from a geographic perspective are changing. So even in places where there's snow on the ground or it's colder, you're seeing activity much stronger. Here in the Midwest in particular, people are out looking for homes, thinking about buying. So that's a new trend this year. Every year it's kind of moved forward from April to March and then March into February. But like I mentioned before, people getting full-blown approvals with Rocket Mortgage have been really at record highs now.
You guys have a really good feel for what's happening just about everywhere in the country. We've been trying to figure out if the change in SALT deductions has impacted some of the blue states, like the housing prices, let's say, in New Jersey, in New York, in Connecticut, in California. Have you seen that overall?
No, we really haven't seen that. And I think that comes down to the root of owning a home. And that's really more about the emotion of that place that you're living and how you're raising your family, et cetera. So we've not seen any change at all in interest levels in those states.
Let's talk about the Rocket Mortgage and the partnership you guys are doing with the NFL and the Super Bowl ads that you'll be placing there as well. Not cheap. Why is that a marketing plan that you think works?
Yeah, well, this year we're super excited. This is our third time with a commercial at the Super Bowl. This year we comboed it up with the Squares initiative. So we've got a partnership with the NFL. We're the official mortgage provider for the NFL. And so working with them, we've kind of added this extra excitement where people have gone and millions of people have signed up for the Squares now. So they'll be watching the game. Every single time a team scores, we'll be pulling numbers and names, and someone's going to win $50,000. At halftime, a person will win $500,000. And then at the end of the game, someone will win $500,000. So when we look at marketing, the opportunity to reach hundreds of millions of people, there's very few events like that across the year where you can accomplish that mission. And so the Super Bowl allows us to do that. And now this year with Jason Momoa, we've got a whole nother level of excitement. I think I heard today 7 or 8 million people have viewed the teaser videos that are out there with him. So it should be a big Super Bowl for us.
You guys spend a lot on marketing. It reminds me a little bit of Geico. They spend a lot on marketing too, but they obviously it works for them. They get lots of customer acquisition for all of that. I'm assuming it's the same story with you.
Yeah, actually, if you think back a few years, we partnered with Warren Buffett on the $1 billion bracket, and he introduced us to some of the folks at Geico, and we talked about the great success that they've had. And when you have a centralized operation the way that we do, the marketing becomes very, very important to get the brand out, to let people know that there's a different way to get a mortgage, a better way to get a mortgage through our process. And so we've studied some of the other great companies out there and kind of taken different suggestions from them, and so far it's working very well.
Jay, thank you. It's great to see you. We appreciate your time today.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, coming up, we're going to take you inside Amazon's big fourth quarter. Shares surging on strong results, pushing the company past the $1 trillion market cap after hours. How high can this stock fly? We're going to ask a top analyst just ahead. Stay with us.
Still to come, the major developments rocking the energy market. How the spreading coronavirus could impact worldwide demand for crude oil. Plus, quarterly results from ExxonMobil and Chevron. Details are straight ahead on Squawk Box.
The hottest new razor is taking the men's grooming world by storm. And if you don't have it, you need it. Micro Touch Solo, the hyper-advanced full-body razor that trims, shapes, edges, and even shaves with micro precision. And it's totally safe to the touch. Go solo for full body control with one tool. No nicks, bumps, or ingrown hairs. Edge beards and goatees with one touch. Clean your neck, barber shop perfect. And check this out. Snap on the guide to tame growth and perfectly shape your full beard. And keep new growth stubble trimmed exactly to your style. And look, the Solo Full Body Groomer trims precisely the length of hair you want. Snap off the guide and remove unwanted hair anywhere in seconds. What makes Solo different than your ordinary razor? Dual-sided German stainless steel blade. Shave up or down at 200 microstrokes per second. The Ultra Flex pivoting head contours perfectly to you for precise results. 3 custom grooming guides for control of exact length and shape. And a built-in LED light so you never miss a spot. Solo is so precise, you need no creams, no soaps, and no water. Ditch the old man clippers and toss the scissors. You've got to go solo. Call 1-800-956-5953 or go online at microtouchsolo.com and get yours now for only $19.99. Complete with German stainless steel blade, pivoting head, built-in spotlight, and 3 custom grooming guides. Everything you see here for just $19.99. The all-new MicroTouch Solo Full Body Groomer. The one tool that does it all.
Wondering which credit card is right for you? Introducing CNBC Select, the authority on all things credit cards. We do the research, you reap the rewards. Head on over to cnbc.com/select and take control of your money. From Brooklyn, New York, the most influential voices disrupting the next decade of work. April 1st and 2nd, CNBC's At Work Summit presents insight from top business leaders, helping you empower the modern workforce, boosting productivity and the bottom line. To register now, go to cnbcevents.com/work.
And update now on a story we first told you about earlier this month. Japanese billionaire Yusaku Maezawa is backing out of a reality TV show to find a girlfriend to join him on the first SpaceX commercial space flight. The billionaire had been looking for a romantic female partner as part of the planned show, Full Moon Lovers. But he says he's shutting down the competition for personal reasons. I guess his wife thought it might not be a great idea.
He's not married.
Oh, okay. All right, never mind. He apologized to the nearly 28,000 women who had applied to be his
girlfriend. That's the thing. Think about all these women who spent all this time trying to apply. And now not even one of them has a shot.
Right.
To go to space with him.
Well, they can sign up for the Rocket Mortgage Squares game.
That they can do.
With the Super Bowl.
That they can do. I kind of wanted to watch. They're going to make a reality show of the whole thing. I thought it would be.
You said
this
that.
actually makes me like.
Were they going to?
They were going to make a documentary.
I know, but this makes me like him more.
You do?
Yeah, it's a little more authentic.
Yeah, but what do you think happened?
There's 28,000. How do you possibly choose between that? And you realize how stupid the whole thing is.
It's like watching The Bachelor. Okay, enough said. Okay, folks. It's dramatic. It's good drama. It's good TV.
And I'm sure you find your true love, too.
Some of them do, which is always so weird. They do. They get married, then they get divorced, then they get married again.
You know way too much about this.
I read Us Magazine like everybody else. Don't pretend you don't. Coming up, when we return, Brecky Economic Data. We got new personal income and spending data out in just a couple of minutes. That is all next right here on Squawk Box. We're just like you. Or what is it? They're just like us.
Retirement income is complicated. As your broker, I've solved it.
That's great, Carl. But we need something better that's easily adjustable.
Has no penalties or advisory fee.
And we can monitor.
To see that we're on track.
Like Schwab Intelligent Income.
Schwab.
Introducing Schwab Intelligent Income, a simple, modern way to pay yourself from your portfolio.
Oh, that's cool. I mean, we don't have that.
Schwab, a modern approach to wealth management.
Hi, Phil Swift here. People everywhere tell me how much they love the Flex Seal family of products.
This stuff is awesome. It really works. Best stuff ever got.
Nothing compares to the strength of original Flex Seal. Flex Seal Liquid, Flex Shot, Flex Tape, and Flex Glue. Use the Flex Seal family of products to weatherproof and protect virtually everything. Seal up gaps, cracks, and holes, even make quick repairs underwater. And don't forget about our portable Flex Seal Minis. Flex Minis easily fit in your toolbox or glove compartment, making them perfect for quick repairs on the go. All Flex Seal products create a super strong watertight barrier. Patch busted pipes, seal gushing gutters. Now you can coat, patch, seal, and repair. Imagine everything you could do with the Flex Seal family of products. Available at these fine retailers.
CNBC's elite list of disruptive innovators is back.
We're trying to build the Amazon Prime of rental.
Here's your chance to rank among CNBC's Disruptor 50. Go to cnbc.com/disruptors and nominate your company today.
Save 50% and subscribe to The Telegraph as Britain embarks on a bright new future. Treat yourself to a standard digital subscription in our Brexit sale. Pay just £25 for your first 6 months of intelligent insight and trusted opinion. Subscribe today at telegraph.co.uk.
Keys. Check. Phone. Check. 70s playlist downloaded. Check. Nice. There's one more thing you should check before you leave. Your travel. There's a new cycleway under construction between Kensington Olympia and Brentford Town Centre, so expect delays due to lane closures at the junction of Kew Bridge Road and Chiswick High Road. Plan ahead at tfl.gov.uk. To the Mayor of London and TfL, every journey matters.
You know what it's like when you can't find your debit card? Panic. That's what it's like. Until you realise, as a Halifax Visa debit card holder, that you can freeze your card on the spot. Control your Halifax Visa debit card with the Halifax mobile app. Easy as.
You can only freeze certain transaction types. Terms and conditions apply.
I think I just be myself, let it come naturally. I never try to, go outside the box.
Super Bowl 54, the biggest game of the year, is live on TuneIn Premium. Be there when the Kansas City Chiefs, dreaming of their first championship in 50 years, collide with the San Francisco 49ers' quest to bring a sixth Lombardi trophy to the Bay Area. Wherever you are when the ball kicks off Sunday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, listen to every electric moment of Super Bowl 54 with the NFL on TuneIn Premium. Search Premium to upgrade today.
Go courtside with the NBA on TuneIn. With the NBA on TuneIn, hear your favorite team and players take on their biggest rivals during the biggest games throughout the year, including regular season showdowns, the 2020 All-Star Game, and the NBA Finals in June, featuring the home and away calls for all 30 teams. Plus, with the NBA on demand, relive the best moments of the season by listening to the past games in their entirety. Listen to the NBA all season long on TuneIn.
You might already know that TuneIn allows you to listen to all the pro sports leagues wherever you go. But did you know TuneIn is also home to the wide world of college sports?
Open three, DeAndre Hunter got it! Handoff Carruthers, big hole right side. He leaps and he surges in. Touchdown!
From live college football, basketball, and baseball games to podcasts and coaches shows fueling your love for the game in your school. And the best part is, it's all free. Search college sports to find your team or league.
You love TuneIn for live breaking news from CNN, MSNBC, Fox, CNBC, and more. But when you can't catch your favorite show as it airs, it might just be a click away as a podcast. Search your favorite news station to explore all the on-demand news shows on TuneIn.
Smart Sports Wagering Talk is now on TuneIn. This is Brett Musburger. The Better Network is now on TuneIn. Search BETR. Be better informed. Be better prepared. And remember, cash and tickets is what it's all about.
Want to know a quick, easy way to see if your favorite podcasts have a new episode available? Just go to the home screen on your TuneIn app and see the latest editions under the Your New Episode section. Happy listening.
Cutting for the net. Scores! On the goal line, Marchand scores!
Hockey fans, the 2019-20 NHL season is here.
And tucks it home!
And with this team, it's really fun to be a part of a team like that.
You can hear the action live on TuneIn Premium. From regular season action to the All-Star Game and through the Stanley Cup in June. Hear the home and away call for every game, for every team live. At home or on the go, never miss a game with the NHL on TuneIn Premium.
Upgrade today.
When you're not listening to your team, take it to the end zone, the rim, or the net. Keep up with the biggest moments in sports by following TuneIn on social media.
Block, Cook into the end zone for the touchdown.
From reminders of the live top games to tips of the best sports stations and podcasts.
Welcome to Undisputed. We are live from Los Angeles. I'm Jenny Taft here with Skip
Follow
Bayless.
at TuneIn on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to get the most out of TuneIn.
Start hearing more of what you want.
Upgrade to TuneIn Premium and get over 45 commercial-free music stations,
Live commercial-free news,
and every live NFL, MLB, NBA, and NHL game.
Visit tunein.com/premium to upgrade.
$1 billion in the first quarter on the expense side. And I think as they try to get their footing around this big transition from the 2-day to 1 day, they're getting better and better at it. And it's gone, it wasn't as costly as anticipated.
So what will the catalyst be for Amazon from here? And will it Will it be the delivery business? Will it be AWS? Will it be the government contract that's still in, people are arguing about? What's it going to be? And what could be the next stumbling block where people say, oh, the stock, is overvalued here because they got this or that to do?
Well, I think on the retail side, I think what you've seen is Walmart's got its footing on the retail side. Target has its footing on the retail side. The competition has really sort of, I wouldn't say closed the gap, but actually got their footing on it. But I think when you shift over into the AWS side, that was the other piece where there was definitely some nerves around profitability, a lot of noise given the JEDI contract on the AWS side, and that sequentially improved on the profitability side. The operating margins actually from the third quarter to the fourth quarter were 100 basis points better. It was better than expected, and the top line still very, very healthy. So and that's the big profit driver as well. So if they can manage the U.S. piece of it, the North American retail piece, keep the AWS piece growing at a very healthy clip, and sort of not really let the international business hurt them that much. Those are the pieces, and they all really worked in tandem this quarter.
Would you split it up?
I don't see the need to split it up. I think we value it on a sum of the parts basis with the three different businesses.
There's a lot of talk. We had somebody on the show just this morning who said, you know what, AWS, now that the retail business can clearly stand on its own, do you really need these two businesses together? Does it take any of the regulatory pressure off? I don't know the answer.
I think generally if you look at it, could they? Yes, right? I think it's very cleavable. I think it could be done that way. But the North American retail business, one could argue it's been one of the biggest positives for the U.S. consumer, to really come along.
But is owning AWS jet fuel is there a synergistic value for those things? Could you create even more value if, because there are certain retailers and others who may say, you know what, I don't want to use AWS because I feel like I'm competitive with this other part of their business? I'm just raising the question.
That exists, right? I think there's definitely people that compete with Amazon would prefer to use a Microsoft, but should they? I don't think it's necessary, but there's definitely a case to be made for it.
Okay. Is Bezos going to be there forever, you think?
Look, he's a brilliant guy.
Are there things in the works, would you say, is there any succession planning at all at this point? I don't know if I'd be there every day if I were Jeff Bezos at this point.
I think he's a visionary, right? I think they clearly have a plan in place in case something happens. It's such a well-managed business, and I think the board is very solid as well. I don't know what it is. No one's shared it with me, but I really do think these guys, there's great leadership and there's a lot of depth at this company.
Could you see a situation where he becomes the executive chair and they some of these others step up as the CEO of the company?
Absolutely. I think he has his key team. I think he's still the man in charge, and I think that that's been a question mark for many, many years. And whether or not if something were to happen to him, what were to go on, I think that still exists. But I think what we've seen over the last few years is this. They have a solid management team in place that these different businesses are all operating at a very healthy clip. So I think they do have the leadership to withstand something like that.
Could he run Amazon from Mars theoretically? Is the delay too much for?
That would put the cloud service.
Nothing would surprise me with Jeff at this point.
No, that's right.
Especially, believe me, nothing would after some of the latest. Anyway, we don't need to go there. Thank you, Bob. Appreciate it. All right.
All right, we've got earnings hitting from Chevron. There's a lot of moving pieces in this because there's about $10.4 billion in impairments and write-offs associated with stuff the analysts knew about. This is with the Appalachia Shale, Kitimat, and Bigfoot. There's also a $1.2 billion gain because of the sale of the UK Central North Sea assets in the fourth quarter. If you strip all that out, you're going to get a number of $1.49 a share. The street was looking for $1.45. Revenue looks like it was a little bit shy of the street's forecast, but we should point out there are not very many analysts who actually even estimate revenue as opposed to the number that we were looking at for earnings. I can tell you the CapEx for 2019 was $21 billion. That's up from $20.1 billion in 2018. The company added 494 million barrels of net equivalent proved reserves for the full year of 2019 as well. Right now, stock is down by about 1.3%.
Okay, for more reaction on this morning's oil major results, also want to get some sense of the coronavirus and the impact that may have on all this. John Kilduff is the founding partner at Again Capital and CNBC contributor. You want to talk about the earnings, or you want to talk about the impact of Corona more broadly?
It's up to you guys. What I'll say about the earnings, both from Chevron and Exxon was out earlier today, is that a lot of this bad news has been priced in. Exxon's stock price is at a 10-year low. Both of these stocks are at a 52-week low. Both of them, though, have attractive dividend yields of about 5%. So, and those dividends for these two companies are safe, Andrew, in my opinion, as opposed to some of the other more, speculative dividend yields.
Which one would you buy right now?
Chevron has got their house in order more than ExxonMobil does right now. Also, too, ExxonMobil has a very high exposure to U.S. shale prices and global oil prices, and refining and chemicals. So even if you get the rebound in oil prices, Exxon gets squeezed with their petrochemical units. So it's not really a good story right now.
Okay. Meantime, talk to us about the coronavirus and the impact you think it's having.
Look, first of all, transportation fuel demand is the first casualty in these epidemics, as we're seeing. Now people are starting to put pen to paper. I'm seeing GDP estimates potentially being cut as much as 2% for China this year. China is the key to the oil price story. They're the key demand center. I always talk about them being the flip of Saudi Arabia, where if you want to consider Saudi Arabia the swing producer, China is the demand swing center. And this is going to hurt. This is hurting. We're already seeing it. Oil prices got cut almost in half during the SARS outbreak. Right. And so now we're seeing that we're getting Was that an overreaction?
Overreaction.
But back then, I would say yes, it was, and we did rebound from those prices. This time around, because of how precarious the market balance is, especially we were counting on the demand growth to come through.
Right.
In December, there was a big rally in oil prices, partly because of the celebrations around the U.S.-China trade deal being struck, the Phase 1 deal. That would mean more activity for Chinese manufacturers in particular, and the whole Asian region. Now we have this. Last night, the Chinese PMI came out right at 50, okay? And that doesn't even really cover the coronavirus outbreak. The survey ended before this outbreak really was in the news. So that number's only going to come down. It's only going to worsen. It's only going to spread the negativity throughout the region and the market outlook.
John, thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Appreciate it very, very much. Also, programming note, we're going to be sitting down with Chevron CEO Michael Wirth, in addition to a great lineup of other guests at Pebble Beach next Friday. It all starts at 6 a.m. right here on Squawk Box. Jimmy Dunn will be with us, Dave Dorman, and then Randall Stevenson from AT&T. Given all of the conversation we've had around AT&T and the media stocks and telecom stocks recently, a conversation you do not want to miss.
Check the weather.
I have not. Have you?
Oh, have I? Yeah, and you know how those 10-day forecasts. We're good at the year. We're good at the year 2100.
Oh, see, we walked into it.
We're good at the year 2100. We're pretty sure what's going to be happening then, if any of us, any of the humans are left. But it's hard to go 10. But it looks good. It looks dry. It's been wet. Been very wet recently.
Fingers.
Not that warm, but you walked in.
When we come back,
I walked in.
The recipe for a market correction. Our technical strategist Chris Verone runs down the ingredients that you'll need to know as you invest your money. Also, a reminder, you can always watch or listen to us live on the go on the CNBC app.
Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. You'll get interviews, original content, and behind-the-scenes access. Look for us on Apple Podcasts or on your favorite podcast app. And subscribe to Squawk Pod today.
I love you, Dad.
A what?
I love you.
A what?
I found myself saying that all the time. And when I realized it, I just stopped saying it. And my life changed. I stayed home, mostly alone. I missed out on everything. I felt like that I had stopped living. It was awful. And I knew I needed hearing aids, but the cost was ridiculous. A state-of-the-art TV only costs about $600 or $700. But a tiny hearing aid costs $3,000, $5,000, whatever they can get. It's just ridiculous. Well, not anymore. Thanks to Hearing Assist, I can hear clearly again, and my life is so much better. I got a pair of rechargeable, state-of-the-art digital hearing aids for hundreds, not thousands of dollars. And they're FDA cleared. I really love my hearing aids. You can't see them.
And I never have to change the batteries because they're rechargeable. And look how easy it is for me to charge them. It's magnetic. Hearing Assist even let me try my hearing aids for 60 days so I could see if I liked them.
I love you, Dad.
What?
I said I love you.
I heard you the first time. I just wanted to hear it again. Hearing Assist will change your life. Get our best pricing ever. Save up to $200 off, plus free 2-day shipping exclusively at Walmart.com or in the pharmacy section of Walmart stores in Texas, Arizona, Colorado, Tennessee, and North Carolina. Includes 2 rechargeable hearing aids, charging base, and ear caps in multiple sizes. Give the gift of hearing to yourself or someone you love. You have nothing to lose, but everything to hear. Hearing Assist will change your life.
Pool is looking sad, actually.
When the wealthy struggle to sell their dream houses, it's Aaron Kerman's job to show them that beauty is in the eye of the buyer. Listing Impossible, all new Wednesday 10 Eastern. CNBC, get yours.
The quarterback is the field general. He commands the offense. Who are Wall Street's quarterbacks? In this market, it's got to be the software industry, which has been responsible for a tremendous portion of our overall gains for the past decade. Watch or listen live on the CNBC app.
Welcome back to Squawk Box this morning. Take a quick look at futures about 45 minutes before the open, and Dow would look like it would open right now about 164 points down, 163 points down. S&P 500 off about, we'll call it 7.5 points, and the Nasdaq looking to open higher, about 42 points higher.
Just under an hour to go to the opening bell on Wall Street. Dominic Chu is here. He's got to look at some of the morning's top stock movers, and there's plenty of them today, Dom.
So many of them, Becky. Oil majors, though, a very big focus as we wrap up that busiest week of earnings season so far. We'll start with ExxonMobil. Those shares, you can see they're down by about 2% or so, roughly 1 million shares of pre-market volume after America's biggest oil and gas company reported a mixed quarter. Profits fell shy of forecasts, though revenues did beat expectations. Results were hurt by shorter-term supply-related issues in its refining and chemicals units, among other things. So those shares down by 2%, a drag on the Dow. Shares of competitor Chevron down 1.3%, roughly 375,000 shares of pre-market volume after it reported better than expected profits, but sales fell shy of forecasts. Much of the drag on the results over at Chevron came via the exploration and production units over there as falling oil prices continued to take their toll, as among other things. So those shares off 1.5%. And then the other big earnings story of the morning is Caterpillar, of course. Shares are down about 1.5%, roughly 170,000 shares of pre-market volume after the world's biggest maker of construction equipment posted profits that topped Wall Street forecasts, though revenues came in and missed the mark. Caterpillar also offered a full-year profit forecast that fell below analyst estimates as it grapples with global economic uncertainty. Cat, remember, guys, always often considered a bellwether for global economic activity. Joe Kernan, I'll send things back over to you.
Thanks, Tom. Our next guest says the ingredients for a stock market correction are coming together. Here to tell us about the most important technical indicators to watch, Chris Verone, partner and head of technical analysis at Strategic Securities. We'll start with the overall markets. Maybe we can talk about Caterpillar at the end. I think that's maybe the way they've got the things built for the segment. So the coronavirus, it's not a technical indicator, but it does maybe give an excuse for maybe we don't resume an upward climb immediately. Is that how you would look at this?
Yeah, I think what I want to emphasize here is when you start a year with sentiment running very hot, it can be anything that hurts you. The market searches for an excuse, and we saw that to start 2020. This is daily put-call ratio, so a good measure of stress in the options market. They started the year exceptionally low. So the market will search for an excuse. It could have been Iran, maybe it's the virus, maybe it's Bernie Sanders, but when you have hot sentiment, you're vulnerable to a setback. So we have S&P down 2% from the highs. I just don't think that's enough yet to say we're through this corrective phase just yet. 3050, 3100 on the S&P is about down 6 or 7. I think that's a more reasonable area to look. And I think the one tactical indicator that matters, you start to get a spike in put calls up to that 140 neighborhood. That's where you would say, hey, sentiment is sufficiently flushed out, but we're just not quite there yet.
Is that the sentiment indicator you would use, or there's something else you might use?
This is hands down the most timely tactical indicator we look at. It has the best track record. And, I would add to that, if this is sentiment, we also need to focus on what's going on on under the surface. And if you look at the internals of the S&P right here, one thing we look at is the number of stocks making a 1-month low. When you start to get about 55, 60% of the index making a 1-month low, that's about as good a sign as any that you're sufficiently flushed out. That hit 30% this week, so not enough internally. 3,100 on the S&P, probably a better level.
So what's your time frame? This is a short-term call you're making. When does the resumption start of heading higher? Intermediate term?
Yeah, I think this is a tactical correction. 1Q, maybe into 2Q. It's an election year. February, March tend to be...
This is an election year.
If you didn't know. February, March tend to be weaker months. The trend tends to resume as you move into summer, so I think you're looking at a weak first quarter, maybe early to the second quarter. But let's watch also some key indicators of when will it tell us that trend is resuming. And I think the transports in particular, if we go to the next slide here, are going to be really, really timely. This is a group that already had its bear market. Transports were down 40% in 2018, 2019, really have made no progress over the last 12 months. I'm very curious if they hold this upward sloping 200-day. I think it'd be a good message for the broader market. And then you mentioned it with CAT, right? This is a bellwether. This is a timely name. It's already had this down 10, 15% correction. If it can stabilize in this 130, 135 area, I think this would be a good message that the market does resume higher in the back half of the year.
All right. That's it for you today?
Want to talk about anything else?
No. Sorkin, you aware this is an election year?
I heard.
So we're going to vote on this in like 8 months, and yet we're does that make sense to you? If the voters are actually going to weigh in near term? Was this the...
You know what's notable is March volatility, Super Tuesday volatility.
Yes, tell me about it.
Trades at a big discount to election day volatility. That doesn't make sense to us, right? If there's going to be...
What can we do? What can an investor do with that, right, Becky?
We can buy March VIX calls and we can sell November VIX calls. If you're going to get a bad election outcome in November, the market's going to price it in long.
What does that mean, bad? It depends on... I mean,
it means you can teach an old dog new tricks.
Bad is in the eye of the beholder, is it not?
If the market views a likelihood of a progressive candidate winning, there's weakness there, right? So March vol traded 3 points below November vol seems pretty cheap to us.
You're getting political now. We're going to have to end this segment right here and now. Thank you.
My pleasure.
It's good to have you in today.
Thank you, Joe. Let's get down to the New York Stock Exchange. Jim Cramer standing by. Jim, you heard Chris's technical analysis of what happens with Caterpillar. What's your analysis of the situation here?
I mean, Caterpillar did, I think, show some margin improvement where I least expected it in some of the divisions, including energy. So, I mean, it wasn't that bad. I mean, take a look at Illinois Toolworks, by the way, and there they had some negative numbers. Again, cash conversion, not that bad. Some of these industrials are doing much better when it comes to the actual cash they take in, much better than you expect. Now, Caterpillar was at 149, down to 134. I think that these things are kind of a push, so to speak, like the Super Bowl this weekend. So I don't see anything that is really troubling with Cat. If the stock had been much higher, obviously I wouldn't have liked it.
What about the two big oil companies, Exxon and Chevron today? Both of them drags on the Dow right now.
I know that Mike won't want to hear this, but I'm done with fossil fuels. They're done. Yeah, they're just done. We're starting to see divestment all over the world. We're starting to see the companies just regard them as, big pension funds saying, listen, we're not going to own them anymore. It doesn't matter.
You think that's the biggest thing holding these guys back, and not necessarily just oil production here in the United States?
Absolutely. I think it is. You could say, listen, China, obviously swing smart. No, the world's changed. There's new managers. They don't want to hear whether these are good or bad. Look at BP. It's a solid yield, very good. Look at Chevron buying back $5 billion worth of stock. Nobody cares. And this has to do with new kinds of money managers who, frankly, just want to appease younger people who believe that you can't ever make a fossil fuel company sustainable. That's why I said Mike Wirth's trying everything he can. But in the end, they make fossil fuels. And that's going to be, we're in the death knell phase. I know that's very
death knell phase for the stocks, but not for the death knell phase for us using fossil fuels, right?
Yeah. Well, I think that the issue is sustainability. Look, this is the other side of Tesla. These stocks don't want to be owned by younger people. Their dividends are great. These companies are doing better than, obviously, when oil was at, even 4 years ago, when oil was at 26, 27. But you can tell that the world's turned on them. And it's actually kind of happening very quickly. You're seeing divestiture by a lot of different funds. It's going to be a parade. It's going to be a parade that says, look, these are tobacco, and we're not going to own them.
Wow. That's a really tough stream to swim against.
They're tobacco.
If that's the case.
I think they're tobacco. We're in a new world. And some of us could be kicking and screaming to even believe that could be the case, but they're tobacco.
That's a rough prognosis. I'm going to think some more about that. So we're watching.
Prognosis negative.
We're watching the Dow drag down by these three today, but the Nasdaq's been holding up because of Amazon. 2008 is now the number it needed to cross above to get above $1 trillion market cap.
Well, Amazon, you read that, they're one of the most sustainable companies, even though they do a lot of packaging. Look, it's a new world, Becky, and Exxon could have reported an upside surprise. I don't think it would matter.
Wow. All right, Jim, I'm going to dig through and think a lot more about that thesis. It's a very interesting one.
The word.
All right. Jim, thank you. We'll see you in just a couple minutes.
Yeah.
Reminder, by the way, we will be in California next Friday at the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am with a big lineup of guests, including the aforementioned Michael Worth of Chevron. We'll also be talking to AT&T's Randall Stevenson and many others. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
This is Nancy. Her job is to keep everyone happy and productive. Nancy excels at this, which is why she replaced all of the uncomfortable chairs around the office with modern, extra comfortable, fully ergonomic X chairs. Nancy loves her X chair. With its dynamic variable lumbar support, her back never felt so good. Her boss has learned to relax since he discovered X Chair's infinite side float recline technology. X Chair's adjustable seat depth, arm height, and neck positions means totally customized office seating for the whole team. And with upgrades like X-Wheel blade casters, rolling through the workday in comfort is a breeze, no matter the flooring surface. Good call, Nancy. Now you can call or click to get $100 off the amazing X Chair featuring dynamic variable lumbar support. Plus, for a limited time, you can also add X-Wheel blade casters as a free upgrade and get free same-day shipping. Just use code TVWheels. This deal is good for any model X Chair you choose. Call or click to order today and receive a 30-day risk-free trial and $100 off.
Analysis and first trading action after the latest numbers from retail and entertainment giant Amazon. Where is the company delivering for investors? Squawk on the Street today, 9 a.m. Eastern. Watch or listen live on the CNBC app.
Hello, I'm your captain for today's Virgin Atlantic flight. Please drop everything and pay close attention to the following announcement. The sail is now on. Our crew are ready to take your bags and stresses away. The cocktails are ready to serve, the movies are loaded, and we're all set for takeoff to the Caribbean. So, take your seat in our award-winning economy class. We're ready to go when you are.
The Virgin Atlantic sale. Fly amazing for less. For more details, visit virginatlantic.com.
Get to TradePoint for 20% off kitchen sinks, taps, and appliances when you spend £2,500 or more on a kitchen. Plus, 10% trade loyalty discount will be applied instantly for all TradePoint members. So for a great deal on kitchens, get to TradePoint. In-store orders only, maximum 10 appliances, excludes clearance, ends 2nd of February. See tradepoint.co.uk.
I think I just be myself, let it come naturally. I never try to, go outside the box.
Super Bowl 54, the biggest game of the year, is live on TuneIn Premium. Be there when the Kansas City Chiefs, dreaming of their first championship in 50 years, collide with the San Francisco 49ers' quest to bring a 6th Lombardi trophy to the Bay Area. Wherever you are when the ball kicks off Sunday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, listen to every electric moment of Super Bowl 54 with the NFL on TuneIn Premium. Search Premium to upgrade today.
It is going to be Super Bowl Sunday. Apologies to the Chiefs fans, since that was my pick. No, that's not why. No. It might be better for your portfolio if the 49ers win, according to our friend Ryan Dietrich from LPL Financial. Of the 20 teams that have ever won the Super Bowl, stocks do well when the 49ers win. The third best of any team for winning, in fact.
Third best return. How many times have they won? It's been 20 years since they were in the Super Bowl. It's been 50 years since Kansas City was in.
Since, what, the 49ers?
I think.
No.
I thought that's what I heard. When was the last time they were in?
No, it wasn't that long ago.
Question I have
The Kaepernick area.
Who's going to call out sick on
49ers.
Monday? You're
So
actually,
20 hours, we were out in California.
you're going to be out in California anyway.
Yeah.
You know what? Monday, more people are supposedly sick or call out sick.
Yeah,
I'm actually
17 million
genuinely
so
sick.
far.
1995.
But more people call out sick
that's a
than any other
championship,
day.
not when they were. That's when they.
Right. No, they were in the Super Bowl a couple, not that long ago, maybe less than 10 years
When they
ago.
won.
Meanwhile, a couple of stock stories that we're watching.
Go ahead.
Volkswagen's truck unit has made a bid to take over Navistar. Company's offering $2.9 billion in all-cash deal, which would combine two of the world's largest truck makers. VW's unit already owns nearly 17% stake in Navistar, which says it will carefully review that proposal. The stock surging more than 50% on that news. You can look at that stock up and
I can't. I gotta read this.
how happy you'd be.
All right, some other stocks to watch. Visa reporting record profit in the first quarter as it processed more than $3 trillion in transactions. But revenue did fall a little bit short of estimates, and the company says that revenue will be hit this year by incentives that it provides to banking clients. Visa has also been spending more on rewards and perks, pushing up operating costs by 14% this quarter. Visa is taking about 40 points off the Dow right now. That stock is down by about 2.7%. IBM is basically adding back that same amount.
2013.
2013, sorry.
Ravens,
95
49ers.
Won.
Okay. Quick final check on markets before we say goodbye and tell you to have a great weekend. Take a quick look at futures right now. Dow up about 155 points. NASDAQ up about 43 points. S&P 500 looking to open off about 6 points. Enjoy the Super Bowl, folks. We'll see who the winner is and have a great weekend. And don't call in sick on Monday. Sweat on the Street begins right now.
David Faber at the New York Stock Exchange. Final day of January. Futures are weak as the number of coronavirus cases now nears 10,000, and the State Department warns Americans not to travel to China. Amazon blowout quarter, but Caterpillar and Honeywell guide weak. Europe is red. Brexit is official today. 10-year 155. Our roadmap begins with the next trillion-dollar company. Amazon shares are surging ahead of the open after a big earnings beat, set to rejoin Apple, Alphabet, and Microsoft in the 4 common market cap club.
Plus, there's a shakeup at the top of IBM. After 8 years at the helm, CEO Ginny Rometty will step down this spring.
And virus fears continue to keep investors on edge. Goldman says the outbreak will weigh on growth this quarter. Stocks are set for a lower open. Amazon, though, is the story of the morning, up in the pre-market, set to open with the market cap once again above $1 trillion. Quarterly results beat the street, helped by a robust holiday season, along with strength in advertising and the cloud. And at 34%, Jim, minimal deceleration from the prior 35.
Perfect. It's perfect. I know these analysts have to put out these things as a bull case, bear case. There was none. The one thing that really shocked me was that after you saw Satya Nadella talk about how well Azure's doing, 60% growth for cloud, these guys crushed it in cloud.
Right.
Plus, they talk about the love they have for same day. 150 million Prime, how'd that happen overnight? There's a page, no, not a page. They put out a 5-page thing that's more important in many ways than what their numbers are, of all the things they do, all the things they've invented, what they're doing with Alexa, and it was just so impressive. Now, they are not at all promotional in the conference call, but there was a moment where someone just said, geez, how about the web services? Is that doing okay? And Brian Oslowski, he's the CFO, he said, well, I don't know, if you do 30 billion last year and you do 40 billion this year, I think that's pretty good. And that was the most understated, over-delivered number. There's no slowdown. There is an acceleration. And I'm trying to figure out whether it's because the consumer's more robust than we thought, the international business is more robust than we thought, or they're just crushing everyone in the retail business. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, listen, don't forget ads, too. 4.8 billion.
Ads was good.
The margins there are very strong.
Yeah, and it was an afterthought in the old days.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Suddenly it's
now it's become a real business. We're talking, $5 billion a quarter.
The gross margin is crazy.
Yeah, of course. That's why Google makes so much darn money in Facebook.
Yeah, but the unfortunate thing is
for Amazon, where retail obviously has a very low margin.
Right. Google has a lot of businesses that aren't businesses. They're kind of
to balance out the fact that they make so much money.
Yeah, Google has businesses that they have a business, I think, where it's a furnace and they shovel money into it, not unlike a TV show that I used to
Good
like.
business, that one, the money-burning business.
Lem burned the money. What I think is different really is that this is one of the most focused companies I have ever seen. They would not allow the Shield to go on there. When you look at even the movies that they're doing, they talk about what series they're doing. The Al Pacino series about the Nazi hunters in 1977, set in Manhattan. Wasn't that fantastic? Sounds like a further stretch of that great William Goldman book, Marathon Man. David, I have to ask you, is it safe to short Amazon?
No, it's not safe.
No, but I mean, is it safe?
No, it's not safe.
Okay.
It's very dangerous. Goldman goes to 2,600. As long as it's above 2008, it will hold that $1 trillion market cap. Whole Foods, nice acceleration there. That seems to be coming together.
Well, also, they've got this, they're waiving the $14.95 fee, and it's 2 hours. Now, I have a Whole Foods that's about 25 minutes from me. And I told Lisa, I told my wife, I said, that's it, we're done. We're just doing the two. We're never going out again. We're going to get the toilet paper and stuff from one part of Amazon. We're going to get the food from another part. We're done. Our life is over.
Given the disappearance of retail stores in the area that I live in New York, and I think others around the country, you're going to need to rely more on it being delivered to your home pretty soon.
Now you start thinking,
places you go
United
for your
Parcel,
fresh fruit.
Does United Parcel, was that one of the reasons why they had to step up the spend?
Maybe. Abney talking about that, small and medium-sized businesses.
Do you ever
where UPS seems focused. What about updates on Prime? 150 million. I guess we now get updates every 50 million additional members. The last time we heard was when they said it was 100 million.
Right. So 2017.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember when there were a story going around that Bezos was distracted because of personal reasons? I think that if he's distracted, wow, what would it be like if you were focused?
I know. Guardian has a piece out today that he did, in fact, meet with FBI investigators in the wake of that hack. Yes, citing sources there, but clearly that's had a minimal impact on his ability to focus.
The rigor of this man is rather extraordinary. I urge everyone to just go through the actual letter about what they accomplish, and you will be so proud, yes, to be jingoistic for a second, of America and who he is going for. You know, people used to think we're clowns. Go read the Amazon and then think about what's going in Wuhan. And you tell me who has a better set, better qualifications. Who's going to lead the world? Is it going to be a country that doesn't seem to have any ability to control, despite what the WHO said, anything involving public health? Or is it be a country that is inventing things that are beyond your imagination about, Alexa, even as you can now ask her, why'd you say that? And she'll explain why. Is that artificial intelligence or what? I may get it for when I'm alone. How you doing, Alexa? I'm doing fine, Jim.
Really?
Why is that? Well, you're in the room.
You think you should maybe just sit and be quiet for a little while?
With Alexa there?
No, just in general. I think you'd benefit from some moments of quiet reflection, as opposed to having to talk to somebody or something.
Well, remember, when Jensen Huang's through, he can actually make them so that they look like people. So I can, like, in the privacy of my home, have a cocktail party where we discuss political events.
Jim, back to the performance of Amazon stock price, which had been lagging.
Yeah, because people felt that Microsoft was killing them.
Right. But had been lagging, let's call it huge, enormous mega cap tech over the last few months.
Right.
Is this now a resurgence for Amazon for a period of time where the doubters go away in terms of how much they're spending to get everything to you?
It's to me, I know when I spoke to Satya that I had felt that Azure was a superior web service. This puts that theory into doubt. In terms of what they're doing for shopping, it's even stronger than I thought. David's right about the advertising business. I think that the stock was mispriced because the company says nothing. There's total lockdown. This is the largest company where you can't get a single sense of how it's doing.
That's been one of the complaints on some constituencies. But your argument is the stock went in cold, whereas Facebook went in hot.
I think that's so right. And goosed by a Raymond James piece that came out that day, which basically just made you feel like he got the call and it's going to be a remarkable quarter. By the way, I defend Facebook here. We're talking about a 19 multiple on earnings.
Right.
Colgate is on fire with just a fraction of the growth. On fire. And fuego.
Well, maybe that's not deserved.
Which one?
Colgate.
Maybe Facebook's not deserved. Maybe Facebook's undervalued. People hate Facebook. They don't. Nobody hates Colgate.
Hate
A lot of
Facebook
maybes.
and the stock keeps going up.
I use Sensodyne.
I mean, it's other than yesterday, but
look, I think that there's a wholesale change going on right now in the market. We're deciding. The younger managers are saying fossil fuels or tobacco. By the way, Juul, nice buy your friends at Altria.
I don't know.
Shame on you,
I don't
David.
know when they became my friend.
Well, they're not his friends. He did the great documentary that made everybody realize what that they were selling.
True.
But Exxon and Chevron, I don't even care. I didn't look for the first time in my life. I did not sit there and devour line by line Chevron and Exxon. I just said they're oil companies. Forget about that, Jake. They're oil companies.
It's the worst profit for Exxon in 3 years today.
It's 5% yield sold. Who want a 5% yield from a fossil fuel derived? Fossil fuels, David, are on the run around the world.
Yeah, they're still used, though, I believe. I think
it doesn't
are still
matter.
Filling up their gas tanks with oil-derived fuel.
In 1982, I met with the president of. I met with during a period where there was a lot of investment in South Africa. I met with the president of Harvard, and I said, look, this is a disaster. You got to get out of these stocks. He said, well, the companies are doing well. Harvard sold them all. This is what's going to happen.
Well, we have talked about the fact that they have a shrinking investor base from which to get interest.
And they ain't going to be taken over.
And so that does...
Look how Occidental did after it made that acquisition. Notice I didn't say your friends at Occidental, because I'm conscious that, that you're the only friends you really have.
Energy has been a very poor performer, of course, as the commodity has come down of late.
Yes, that's understated.
Did drop below 40, I believe, yesterday.
Look, 2,000 gas stations in this country with sub-$2 gas. And Tom Closa says that number of stations, 2,000, could double this weekend with gas cheaper than $2.
Look, there's a guy named Elon Musk, and he has a vision. And that vision is he can put up all the cars he wants, and that's what people want. He's going to take Berlin by storm.
And then that energy is going to be largely natural gas that's powering the thing that you're plugging in.
Remember, he wants to do solar. Solar roofs. David, April's National Battery Month.
We got a lot of personnel moves. We want to talk about, of course, Jenny Rometty, that out after the close yesterday, stepping down April 6th.
Are you going to savage Viacom again?
I'm not going to savage Viacom. I want to share an announcement from the company. Not unexpected, in fact, if you listen to anything I've said, which I know most people choose not to, but over the last year.
Self-effacing jerk.
What did you just call me?
I said you're a self-effacing jerk. You're a really good guy, and you have to say nobody's listening. I mean, people are listening. They're taking action on you.
That Joe Iannello would, of course, depart the company most likely long before his contract called for.
What's that shirt? I can't take you seriously.
You want to look at my hush puppies again, too? Here they are. Iannello, of course, had been the CEO of CBS, replacing Leslie Moonves in that role when it was a public company. It's now part of Viacom CBS. He will be replaced by a gentleman named George Cheeks. Cheeks joins from NBC Universal, where he most recently served as vice chairman of NBC Universal's content studios. In his new role, he will lead CBS's branded assets, including the television network, CBS News, sports, television studios, television stations, first-run syndication, CBS All Access, of course, reporting into Bob Backus, who is the CEO of the overall company. Again, Iannello's departure not unexpected at all. After the deal, he was expected to stay on for what was a relatively brief amount of time, although he could have stayed on for longer, paid an enormous amount of money, by the way, as Mr. Iannello.
As opposed to the shareholders.
For his services. He is chairman and CEO of CBS. That's going to go away. They're not going to have a chairman anymore of it. Cheeks will be the president and CEO of CBS Entertainment Group, is what they're calling it. But you pointed out the real issue here. That stock's down 20% this year, Jim.
What is the worst stock?
20% this year.
The cord cut. It's about cord cutting. Even if it isn't that much cord cutting, it's about cord cutting.
I know.
And at CBS All Access, they've got some really good programming coming. Nobody cares. They do.
It is taking it the hardest of all of the cable network related companies.
Right.
You know what? 18.5%. It came back a bit yesterday, I guess, but
it's back down.
It has been a very poor performance.
We did not mention Jenny.
We got to talk Jenny, and we will talk Jenny.
Stepping down as CEO of IBM, we'll get to her successor, what's going to happen at IBM later on this year. Take another look at the pre-market. Still got to get to Caterpillar and their guidance, and Honeywell and Amgen, Visa, EA, and a lot more when we come back. Don't go away.
Don't get mad. Get E-Trade, dog.
Morning, everyone. I've been a caregiver for 20 years. How you doing? No two patients are the same. Don't do too much. Predicting the next step for them can be challenging. Today, we're using the IBM Cloud to run new analytics tools that help us better predict and plan a patient's recovery. Is helping thousands of patients return home. And who doesn't love going home?
It is the biggest week of earnings, with half of the Dow and a third of the S&P set to report.
Boeing is reporting its first annual net loss since 1997.
I believe in this airplane. I believe in the engineering of it.
We've closed over half of our stores in China, and it is a very dynamic situation.
We are estimating that we're going to grow 28 to 30%.
This company's a juggernaut. iPhone beats, wearables up 44%. It is an earnings abundanza.
Watch or listen to CNBC live on the app.
Hi.
Hey, have you heard? The Mayor of London has launched his latest van scrappage scheme to help tackle London's toxic air. Small businesses or sole traders like me with a polluting van could now get £7,000, which you could use to trade up to a Euro 6 vehicle. And you could get an extra £2,500 towards running costs if you go electric. The scheme is now even easier to qualify for, and it's open to any businesses with up to 50 employees, like mine. So, I'm going to search TfL scrappage to see if I'm eligible and apply. You should do the same. To the Mayor of London and TfL, every journey matters.
I used to be a bit of a rubbish sleeper. I'd toss and turn all night, and somehow I could never find the comfy bit of the mattress. It was a proper nightmare. That's what brought me here, testing mattresses in the Which Test Lab. We use a custom-made barrel rolling machine to simulate a decade's worth of use. And the mattresses that perform best are the only ones we recommend for your bedroom.
Which tests harder so you can buy smarter. Visit which.co.uk.
Ginny Rometty is stepping down as CEO of the company effective April 6th. After 8 years on the job, she will be succeeded by Arvind Krishna, who currently runs IBM's cloud and cognitive software business. Senior Vice President and Red Hat CEO Jim Whitehurst will become IBM's president. Rometty will continue as executive chair, retire at the end of the year. During her tenure, shares of Big Blue have fallen more than 20%. A lot of people looking now at Krishna, one of the architects of that Red Hat deal.
Yeah, look, she had to reinvent the company on the fly. She came in at a very challenged point in the history of the company. She had to get rid of the semiconductor business, change the way the financial roadmap was doing. She had to do $8 to $10 billion in revenues that she had to get rid of. She had a lot of stuff that wasn't working. At the same time, she was trying to pivot toward the cloud, which is where obviously we know the big money is in terms of Azure, Microsoft, and Amazon Web Services. It was not easy to do everything all at once, and I know that the stock hasn't done as well. But to me, she brought in Whitehurst. That acquisition is going to be very good. Mr. Krishna really did build up. That's the best part of the business, and I think that her other thing, frankly, I've had a lot of the people. She had this P-Tech, this initiative to be able to make it so that there's a narrowed gap between the underprivileged and the rest of the country. I think her legacy may be that she has done more, including the government, done more to be able to make it so that there is a level playing field for young people with P-Tech. And I know that sounds a little soft. I don't care. I host some of the great kids from P-Tech at my restaurants. Really she's done it.
Yeah.
And that's a nice legacy.
Listen, she took over from Palmisano. I remember doing the first interview with her that she had ever done, where they were laying the groundwork for abandoning the roadmap, remember?
Yes, well, that was key, David.
And that was really important for IBM because they had commitments in place, financial commitments that they could no longer really meet. And it was the beginning of this attempted transformation from moving away from the slow growth, no growth book of business, legacy business now.
The buyback.
Higher growth.
Remember,
Exactly.
buyback
Commitments
dividend
they had on the buyback dividend.
to keep Warren Buffett happy turned out to be a mistake.
And then Mr. Buffett obviously did not stay as a shareholder.
No.
After some time. But it hasn't been the easiest road for Rometty, no doubt.
Yeah, they have a lot of divisions that just underperformed. I always thought that they could have been more Accenture, more SAP-like, but their cloud business could be big. They went all in cloud. And if you listen to what Microsoft said and to what Amazon said, there's enough business. And I do, by the way, Alphabet has this guy, Thomas Curry, and he's taking a lot of top people.
You talk about him once a week.
Because he's brilliant. He's brilliant.
We're going to start talking about the leaders of cloud business by their first names. And Jim Whitehurst and Ginny did talk to you about this very topic a few months ago, about the Red Hat deal. Take a listen.
This is absolutely about being multi-cloud. And you mentioned a VMware. Despite every other thing out there, IBM has done more porting of VMware to the cloud than anyone else into the IBM cloud. So there is more running in production on the IBM cloud.
So we got a nice four-way race among mega
Yes, that is exactly going to be her business legacy. Her legacy in terms of trying to get young people to be equivalent in this country. Something like I said, they did better than the government. There's tens of thousands of kids. That's one side. And the other side is Jim is sensational. And I've known him for ages, Jim Whitehurst from Red Hat. That Red Hat had a fantastic number. I know it's still small in terms of the book of business, but this is a company that could be the fourth horse.
Whitehurst 52,
president
of 57.
Now, of course, Whitehurst looks 38.
Yeah, he does. So conceivably, Whitehurst now having moved up to president, you could imagine he could succeed Krishna. It's
there were a
possible.
lot of people were worried that Jim might leave.
Yeah.
I was worried about it. He gave a lecture not that long ago, and he called himself as the CEO of Red Hat. And I wanted him to say, important. Now he can say president of IBM. I know that sounds like semantics, but I know I was upset. I said, well, wait a second, is Jim proud or not proud to be at IBM?
Right.
And Jim is proud, and he's staying, and he's going to be meaningful.
How do they, though, pay off debt from the deal, keep investors' confidence in continued buybacks? So two big fires.
You're absolutely right, but I was shocked at the cash flow. The cash flow was much better than I expected, which was really terrific. Didn't get enough credit for fixing the balance sheet in the last 2 quarters. Didn't get a lot of credit for anything. Why? Because the other companies in this business are just so strong.
Because Satya Nadella took Microsoft, which was not in a completely similar position, but was without a real huge strategy, and created a behemoth.
Yes.
That now generates...
So is it like the
and
Eagles?
Revenue growth, the likes of which
is it
you
like
rarely
the Eagles where you lead your division, but once you get to the postseason, I mean, the talent outside of your division is unbeatable.
I thought you were going to say it's like the Hotel California. Yeah, right now, absolutely. But I think that, by the way, 5G, the elusive 5G, is going to increase cloud use tremendously. And I think
rising tide. You're talking rising.
So rising tide, and IBM is still a great company. I just wish that she had that period where she wanted to please. Well, the company was trying to please what Buffett wanted when other companies were spending fortunes in the
should
cloud.
have moved, cut ties immediately upon her taking instead of waiting 3 years.
Think
2
about
years.
that. That's a pivot like an aircraft carrier. I think, remember, it's great to have a legacy where you change thousands of people, tens of thousands.
Absolutely. Kramer's Mad Dash and the opening bell when we come back after a break.
Tomorrow is just waiting to be created, to be reinvented and redefined. And it's those who dare to push the world forward, discover and reshape markets, and embrace the possibilities of data that will reimagine our potential and transform society as we know it. With new ideas and new technology, get there with NASDAQ.
We made USAA insurance for members like Martin, an Air Force veteran made of doing what's right, not what's easy. So when a hailstorm hit, USAA reached out before he could even inspect the damage.
That's how you do it right.
USAA insurance is made just the way Martin's family needs it. With hassle-free claims, he got paid before his neighbor even got started. Because doing right by our members, that's what's right. USAA. What you're made of, we're made for. USAA.
This year, the world's most spellbinding journey will take its wildest turn yet. Prepare to face the Forbidden Forest and join Hagrid to encounter the rarest of magical creatures in the epic new addition to the wizarding world of Harry Potter. Only at Universal Orlando Resort. Stay at an amazing Universal Hotel with rooms starting from $79 plus tax per night. Restrictions apply.
At Fidelity, online U.S. stocks and ETFs are commission-free. And when you open a new brokerage account, your cash is automatically invested at a great rate. That's why Fidelity leads the industry in value, while our competition continues to talk.
Options action. Strategies from the street's top traders. New opportunities to profit from the market's hottest trends. Options action. Today, 5:30 Eastern, CNBC. Sponsored by Thinkorswim by TD Ameritrade.
Visa is going to be one of the big drags on the Dow at the open. We're going to get to their guidance on client incentives for the coming year and talk about what Cat and Honeywell see in global growth that's troubling their guidance. Opening bell in just over 5 minutes.
Right before this happened, I quit a full-time job.
And I cashed out my 401k.
I put this together on my own.
I'm the person who made it.
Shark Tank, tonight starting at 7 Eastern. CNBC, get yours.
Hey, have you heard? The Mayor of London has launched his latest van scrappage scheme to help tackle London's toxic air. Small businesses or sole traders like me with a polluting van could now get £7,000, which you could use to trade up to a Euro 6 vehicle. And you could get an extra £2,500 towards running costs if you go electric. The scheme is now even easier to qualify for, and it's open to any businesses with up to 50 employees, like mine. So, I'm going to search TfL Scrappage to see if I'm eligible and apply. You should do the same. To the Mayor of London and TfL, every journey matters.
We're committing to Aflac.
Why Aflac?
Because health insurance doesn't always pay at all.
Aflac.
After surgery, we had extra bills, follow-up visits, deductibles. We thought health insurance had us covered for everything, but it didn't. Aflac gives you money directly to help you with those things. I want to thank my wife, my mom, the duck.
Get help with expenses health insurance doesn't cover. Get to know us at Aflac.com.
You know that tech stock we talked about? I picked up 500 shares.
You get in at a good price?
Oh, yeah.
Schwab saved you how much?
It's time to trade up to Schwab, where you get price improvement on 95% of orders and commission-free online trades.
I'll take care of this.
Are you getting complete price transparency? Expect more from your firm. Schwab, the better place for traders.
The opening bell is brought to you by Nuveen, a leader in income, alternatives, and responsible investing.
All right, welcome back. We've got a few minutes to go before the opening bell. We'll get you right there, but let's squeeze in a mad dash. Want to hit WWE?
Yeah, David, I usually don't give you an enigma here. But this happens very rarely. There are two co-presidents of WWE. Remember, Vince McMahon is the CEO. George Barrios, Michelle Wilson. I've had George Barrios on a couple of times. WWE, unbelievable streaming product.
They were very early. A subscriber-based streaming product. Took a little while to get traction. Then when it did, It
Boom.
took off.
And so we just learned that they're both leaving effective immediately. And McMahon says the change was necessary as we have different views on how best to achieve our strategic priorities moving forward. Barrios is the face of the company. We have no explanation of why they're leaving, so the analysts are freaking out. They're freaking out. No one knows what to say or do. And so this is what happens when you say nothing and just get rid of people. We don't know. So no one's coming in. No one's supporting the stock. We just got a downgrade, very logical downgrade by Morgan Stanley, saying, listen, there's a vacuum in senior management. They can't figure out sudden and fairly unexplained. No one can figure out what's happening. I haven't seen this happen in a long time. We don't know. So if you want to wade in, fine. But to me, it sounds like something's very wrong. Very wrong with a company that was doing quite well.
Yeah, well, it's losing a quarter of its value right now.
I have no explanation for it, so I just put it out there. I'd love to be able to say this is an opportunity, but this is about as opaque as it gets.
As far as futures go, Jim, is this about the reports we've gotten today, or not wanting to go long into the weekend?
Yeah, I think it's not. It's the WHO says some calm things, and then we say we advise don't travel. Number 4. My friend and Dr. LaPoo, who is now at CBS, used to be our doctor at CNBC, had some very interesting things to say. He just spoke to Tony Fauci, whom I regard as the foremost person about diseases, infectious diseases, National Institute. We've all seen him on. Fauci says, yes, the mortality rate seems high, but it's very possible that 10 times the number of people who have declared that they have it, are asymptomatic, basically.
Right.
And that basically what you have to start doing is saying it is entirely possible. I know that the people who want me to say, like Billy in The Predator, we're all going to die, and like Arnold say, get to the chopper. No. What Fauci is saying that it may just be a really bad fluke. And that is, look, you never want to give anybody false assurance. And WHO is saying there are countries that are woefully lacking in any way to be able to handle it. The United States is reputation. I know you may think that we're all the bumblers, but we have a reputation for being able to handle this. It was the first reassuring thing I've heard. No vaccine on the horizon, but this perhaps, and he was talking, by the way, he had the information about the Germany and the transmission to someone who was not in China, but he was just saying that the number of people who have contracted it may be, versus the number of people who haven't, a good sign. So I know that people want very much for some of us to say that it's all over.
I don't think anyone wants to hear that. Although China, 2/3 of their GDP will be closed an additional week.
Yes, it's an economic disaster for China.
Copper's down 12 straight days. Soybeans down 8 straight days. Yeah. And now Cat's guidance, 8.50 to 10.
Cautious.
Consensus at 10.55, right? I mean, they're talking about inventories maybe.
But cautious. I mean, they did do a good job with margins. It's a new Caterpillar. They buy back stock. They're not sink or swim. They're not as episodic as they are anymore. But at the same time, they got world GDP. Their energy business was much better than I thought, by the way, in terms of gross margins. So not a disaster.
I think for the first time we have 4 companies that are surpassed $1 trillion in market cap.
And they spell MAGA.
And they MAGA? You mean like my favorite store in Mexico?
If you call Google and not Alphabet,
right?
It's Microsoft, Apple,
MAGA,
Google, Amazon.
I'll take you to MAGA, David. MAGA I have in my town in Mexico.
Yeah,
better than anything Walmart has.
Oh yeah,
yeah. MAGA's king.
Amazon
By the way,
is
you can
eclipsing
bank
the $1 trillion mark with that more than 10% move after those much better than expected numbers and strong.
Look at that. People were shorted, David.
Growth and margins there. It's funny. I haven't. Yeah, it's up over 10% now for the year. And Alphabet, of course, we're going to hear from early next week. I think it's Monday, right?
Yeah. How are they going to? What are they
after the close?
They're going to be conservative as always, but sometimes you can't even hide how well you're doing. Although Facebook sure did a good job. That's it.
Got it. It was a but-um-bum joke. Yeah.
I flew all the way back from L.A. Boy, my arms are tired. I mean, there's a Henny Youngman aspect of Facebook. I mean, with the quote about how I'm no longer going to be a nice guy was a kind of, that was a gripping moment in the conference call, wasn't it? When Mark Zuckerberg said, the nice guy phase of my life is over?
Yes. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I didn't really know either. That's the most quizzical thing that's been said when it comes to the stock market, I think, since, I don't know. I can't even, I don't even know. I mean, how did the CEO saying that?
I'm not going to be a nice guy anymore.
Yeah, no longer a nice guy.
What are they going to be? Transparent. More transparent.
Understood.
Understood. Better understood. Better to understand.
He should not have said that. I mean, I'm going to get to him. That was the dumbest thing that he said. It was.
You could say, I'm going to stay being a nice guy.
Well, all he had to say, I don't care whether he's nice or not. It's not relevant. Is it relevant to you whether he's nice?
It wasn't really. He really didn't say. It was about we. It was more about the company.
I'd rather hear him say, listen, I got some nice plants at, TJ Maxx.
Slacks? Got some slacks?
Yeah. Like, look, this new sweater is cashmere. All that would be as relevant as whether he's a nice guy. I'm going to get to him to explain that to him.
We mentioned Visa. It's going to be the big drag on the Dow this morning. Payment volume up 8 in constant currency, but they raised the outlook for client incentives, and that's going to weigh on the year.
I urge people to read Lisa Ellis's piece from Moffett Nathan, talked about Visa Direct. Visa's a buy. They got a big meeting coming up. If you're panicked out of Visa, wait till Monday to buy it, because it's not bad.
Take a look at a 5 or 10 year chart of Visa, and it's just there have been brief moments,
right?
Where,
and everyone you had to buy,
right, where it went down. But I mean, look at that. Look at that.
Everyone's making the comparison
1 year
to AJ Bonga.
Right? Take a look at 10. Look at that, because it just looks the same.
It's
just
a buy.
More or less doesn't do much but go up.
Yeah, well, they buy back stock. They've got an amazing model. They've got double-digit growth. You buy Visa on Monday. No one's going to downgrade the stock. It's too good a company.
There's something wrong there. That's just not right. If Bernie Sanders becomes president, he's going after that.
I mean, it's a macro indicator, but also just a reflection of how cash is dead.
Yeah.
I mean, you ever gone into Starbucks lately and used your Visa for a $2 cup of coffee?
I know. I use my stand right here takes with the $1.50, and everybody gives them their credit card.
Remember when Charlie Scharf ran Visa?
Yes.
The guy who runs Wells Fargo. I had a meeting with Charlie Scharf. Other than when Elon Musk called me a simulation and told me I didn't know what I was talking about, Charlie Scharf was, I said, geez, do you think that people, aren't they going to go to digital? And he goes, let me ask you, how hard is it to pull a piece of plastic out of your wallet? And I said, well, I don't know. He goes, it's easy. Don't you understand? I always love it when they say, don't you understand?
It's not that easy for you because you have a Costanza wallet, but...
Costanza wallet. What is this? What is this I have? Oh.
Oh my God!
Was this to transport your booze?
No, he's got masks.
Oh, masks! Oh, nice.
Well, I'm going to Super Bowl.
You don't have any to share? I've got like 10 masks.
Lauren gave them to me for it. No, I have 10 masks because you got to take the mask. You got to throw the mask away at the end of the day. What is the mask for? Really, the mask is if you have the disease, and I don't want to get it from you.
A couple other earnings. Highlights or not. EA reported after the bell yesterday, Electronic Arts, it's down over 5%. Some
not
disappointment there.
Not a great call.
Not a great conference call.
No,
either.
not at all.
Why?
Well, I think of transition. They're doing the worst of the three. Remember, this is a situation. It's always it's the horse race. It's Take Two.
And there's a lot of people waiting for the new consoles from both Xbox and Sony.
Yes, in the transition, if you go back to what Lisa Su was saying, the weakness was the gigantic transition. When you go back to what Satya was saying, the weakness is great. And everyone listened to Satya and said, okay, we got a transition, no problem. And everyone decided that Lisa Su was going to get crushed by the transition.
Right.
No.
Okay. People are saying yes to Charter, one of the companies I certainly cover. They lost video subs, but that's not where the thoughts are. By the way, the wireless business for both Charter and Comcast becoming a real thing. But broadband is the key. You can see the stock up again. It has had an amazing move over the last. Let's take a look at the last year or so. By the way, CEO Tom Rutledge is starting to leg into some of those options grants that he got some time back. That when you looked at him, you're like, wow, really ever going to end? He's becoming an incredibly wealthy man as a result of that.
You're really into that this week. You did the Blackstone, they're wealthy.
Yes,
Do you have some sort of...
I like to point it out. It's first of all, Blackstone is a bit different because there a lot of the partners have become billionaires as a result of their investments in the funds. that Blackstone
Because I
owns,
just
not
thought
the
this
stock.
was about Iowa.
But
I thought it might be about
no,
Iowa.
Here it's just interesting because I remember specifically when they didn't sell the company, people were, and Rutledge was sort of kind of was the main person saying no, whether it was SoftBank or Verizon. And people, other shareholders like, well, look, he's got numbers 560, and that are way out there. And here we are getting closer and closer in terms of him becoming practically a billionaire as a result. So that's why I pointed out. As for the fundamentals of the company, they've been looking for 10% growth in cable EBITDA. Some had been, and wireless. They delivered in terms of beating EBITDA estimates overall. Broadband with revenue growth there, almost 12%. Beat on revenues, lower costs. Share repurchase beat consensus as well. $8 billion for the year. Some analysts expect as much as 10 to 12. I think the call's ongoing, so we'll give you more. But you got price targets out there of $600 now.
It's incredible. I will point out that Rutledge, since you're going there, is one of the nicest people I've ever.
Very nice guy. No, listen. In this case, by the way, trying to read through the compensation language when you read the proxy is always difficult, but they do try to align it, and here he's becoming wealthy, but so are shareholders.
Yes. I think that's what people want. People don't care if a CEO gets wealthy as long as they get wealthy. Contrast that with, CBS.
With
CBS.
Yes, CBS is a good example.
That's a zero-sum game. And, if I were Bernie, which I'm not, by the way, Bernie Sanders, I would say, listen, what I'm really against is this kind of self-enrichment.
Well, when you watch some of these guys get paid $40 million a year in, year out, or $50 million, or benefit from buying back stock to increase EPS at really sacrificing the investment that might have actually brought true growth.
Will you do a documentary with me about that?
Okay. I don't know where we'll air it, but sure.
I mean, because you're obviously so enthused by the way you answered that question.
I show up every day to do a show with you.
Why don't you just go buy some jewels?
Is that the bar now?
Yeah.
Just showing up?
Yeah.
Okay.
See
how enthusiastic he's
okay,
here.
how about this? Let's see if I can get him this. How was the jewel acquisition?
95%
How was the jewel acquisition? Was that good?
No. The 35% that they bought?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to get a rise. I have not been able. Maybe it's Friday and he's got too much money betting on the Chiefs.
Guys, we should mention Navistar.
You don't bet, I know.
Because it's up 55%.
Which one?
Navistar. You saw that? You saw that
That's
yesterday.
Carl Icahn.
Yeah, Icahn owns 16%. Rachesky owns the same. Icahn's average cost is like 33. For the first time in a long time, he's actually in the green. This may look a little hostile. It was an offer basically of $35 a share from Trayton. This is a Volkswagen-owned company that owns 16+% of Navistar, offering 35 for what they don't own. They had to change their 13D, so they made the offer before they could do that. Hence, they haven't had any discussions. They're the only buyer out there, and they basically said, we're not going to let anybody else come in and buy it because we're not going to sell our 16% to anybody else. But we'll see what Icahn says. The expectation, as you see, reflected in the share prices, it's going to go for a higher price, but this probably does get done.
Okay. That was the best news of the night, other than Amazon. Worst news is, again, I go looking over the oil companies. Their numbers are fine. It doesn't matter.
Exxon's at almost a 10-year low this morning.
Sold.
Honeywell, we didn't touch on. They did guide weak organic growth, largely on the max. Flat to 3, streets at 3.5.
They're also, my Chevrolet Stones has been great stuff, but they also have a safety division. And it's a division, by the way, they lost that has this incredible intelligent warehousing, and they've lost a lot of that. They've lost a lot of contracts. By the way, if you want to know who does all that a lot of the warehousing for Amazon, it's Zebra. Zebra's winning those contracts. Remember, they also bought Symbol. So Honeywell, this was a suboptimal quarter, but they did say that the max is part of the problem.
And then Levi's beats by a nickel. Revenue's light though. Buyback, $100 million, 14% div hike. They did talk about China. They're going to close a bunch of stores.
Yeah, I thought it was a push. I mean, they are in the wrong places. They're also in the malls. I thought Chip did a good job. Chip's got a lot of things cooking.
Yeah, Chip's the lead director, of course, on the HP board.
Yeah, and he's
taking up some of his time.
Well, I asked him about it. He just said, listen, it's just a matter of course. I mean, he's a very dedicated executive, but again, it doesn't really matter. If you're selling into the mall, it's just not working. Boy, the mall, oil company, there's definitive areas that you have to avoid if you're a performing money manager. You can't own stores that are based in the mall, and you can't own oil companies. Oil used to be about 8% of the S&P. It goes down all the time.
So you think Les Wexner is sort of an admission of that fact?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think Les he waited a little too long, but the Bath and Body Works division is very good and worth, I think, the price of the company. Some of the other divisions are just bad.
Yeah. Well, Sycamore is talking to them. We'll see if anybody else shows up to want Victoria's Secret.
They have an interesting record.
Sycamore?
Some good, some bad.
Yeah.
Victoria's Secret is the one that has been really hurt them. It's very out of style.
We're going to get Chicago PMI in a few moments, having gotten some GDP numbers out of the Eurozone today. Let's get to the bond pits and Rick Santelli. Morning, Rick.
Good morning, Carl. You know, what an exciting week it's been. Of course, the coronavirus isn't exciting. It's depressing. But if you're a market watcher, there's been lots of movement. The issue is it's mostly been one direction. Look at yields. Since July of 2017 for 2-year notes, we continue to be trading at levels. Should we close under 139, that would represent a close going back to mid-2017. If you look at what's going on with regard to 10s, an October 1st chart gives you everything you need. Because the October 1st chart shows you that low on the far left is a 153 close. We've been toying with it for a couple of sessions. All these historic markers are quite important because lately, especially with coronavirus, they build momentum on the buy side in treasuries and globally for sovereigns in general. You know, today's the big Brexit day, and of course I can't help but think back to the summer of 2016, so let's go there and look at 10-year gilts. You know, at 166, far cry from where they're trading today at 52 basis points. But do keep in mind, there's been a huge influence outside of Brexit pushing all global sovereigns lower. And when it comes to the pound versus the dollar, you can see how much lower it is, even though it has firmed up as we have had the weeks leading into Brexit. And finally, our January read on Chicago PMI comes out at 42.9. And this isn't a great number. As a matter of fact, this takes us back quite a ways. I only have a year and a half worth here of data points, and that is below it. So a big setback here on Chicago PMI, expecting a number close to 49. Highly disappointing. Carl, David, Jim, back to you.
All right, we're going to see how the market takes that, Rick. Thank you. Seema Moni's got to look at what's moving today. Hey, Seema.
Hey, good morning, Carl. If it wasn't for IBM's 4% move in early trade, the Dow would be down even more. Currently down about 223 points, 243 points. S&P 500 and NASDAQ also down on the day. Negative reaction to Caterpillar and Honeywell earnings. Remember, 2019, very challenging year for the industrials. And Caterpillar CEO Jim Appleby lowering expectations for 2020, saying global economic uncertainty will pressure sales. He expects dealers to further reduce inventories within construction. Stable spending in North America is what he sees, but China sales to be flat to down. Turning to the oil producers, Chevron slightly higher, but ExxonMobil trading at its lowest level since 2010. That stock down about 3%, responding to earnings that did not meet street expectations. It's worth noting energy, worst performing sector for the past 2 years, and so far 2020 not looking any different. The sector is down about 7 or 8% in January. Lower rates, though, continuing to fuel utility stocks this year, and earnings providing a lift to technology. That sector up 6.8% in January. Guys, back to you.
It is Super Bowl weekend, of course, the first Super Bowl since 2012 without a Brady or a Manning playing in the big game. But for Kansas City quarterback Patrick Mahomes, it could come with a big payout, as he could likely become the NFL's highest paid player on his next contract. Jim is going to go to Miami. There's been a lot of chatter that there's no defense that can contain him or Andy Reid's offense.
Well, but they do have a great rush. The San Francisco team is so young. I think that head-to-head, they're maybe the better team. And obviously, I'm cheering Andy Reid because he's had such a great run in Philadelphia. I think the sentiment, frankly, even in the betting line, is taking the bookies can set it up so that they want people to take Andy, get it balanced. I don't know. It's going to be a really fun game.
I agree. I mean, the traditional narrative is you need a big market. You're getting big market teams to play. I think there's a lot of interest even with the Kansas City team.
You got an unbelievably dynamite quarterback and the Chiefs, the fastest man in the league, Tyreek, and then obviously the defense wins games. Wow, it's going to be a fabulous
possibly
game.
the San Francisco running game if they have the same kind of success.
Mostert.
Keep Mahomes off the field is probably the best answer.
Well, Mostert out of nowhere.
Yeah.
How about Brady's
they got a
tweet
great
last
fullback.
night?
Oh my
Did you
God,
see
there's street clothes.
What does it mean? Do we know?
Oh, he's enigmatic. I've never met him.
I don't want to.
No? You don't want to meet him?
No.
You ever meet Peyton?
Yeah.
Fabulous.
Yeah. I think he was here once.
Yeah, I walked around with him. He loves the show.
Yeah.
So we're gonna miss you on Monday, right?
No, you kidding me?
You're flying back Sunday
I don't
night?
play it that way. Of course I'm flying back Sunday. You don't miss me on Monday. But I'm one of those 13 million who calls in sick.
See, David, that's what it's about.
Earnings
That's
season.
enthusiasm.
It's
right
true.
there.
David?
Thanks, Carl. I'll try and remember that.
Take that 3 a.m.
But
flight.
I will be here too.
Take that 3 a.m. flight, throw some powder on, and get right in here.
Get right in there, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, huddle up.
David, it's called Johnson & Johnson. I'm not afraid of talc, by the way, just so you know.
It's going to be a great weekend. Make sure you check out our podcast, guys. Listen to the opening bell hour of Squawk on the Street, wherever you listen to podcasts. That Chicago PMI number is, in fact, the worst since December of 2015, and the Dow's down 234.
The Bond Report is sponsored by PIMCO.
What does the word partner really mean? Someone I can trust. Who's with me for the long term. Who understands I'm dealing with lives, not only livelihoods. That in order to help people, I need more than products. I need quality support and insights. Can I find someone who partners with me to achieve people's long-term success? With Capital Group, I can. Talk to your advisor or consultant for investment risks and information.
Yeah, we're going to need 500 more units pronto.
We don't have that kind of money right now, Carl.
You will in 10 minutes. That's how long it will take you to get funding through Cabbage. I know. I'm 10 minutes in the future spokes guy.
What's happening?
And I'm 10 days in the future spokes guy. That Cabbage funding helped you win the Gundelfinger account. Congratulations.
What's a Gundelfinger?
And I'm from 10 years in the future.
Cabbage. Business funding in as little as 10 minutes.
What'd I miss?
When it's time to sell your home, there's a lot of money on the line. How can you trust your real estate agent will get it right? There's good news. With HomeLight, you can compare actual performance data on thousands of agents near you, so you know who sells quickly, who sells for the best price. We'll match you with the perfect agent for your needs. And best of all, it's free. Sell your home for more money. Go to HomeLight.com today.
For drug-free sinus and allergy relief, experience Navage.
This time of year, I get so stuffed up, but Navage flushes my sinuses so I can breathe again.
Navage uses powered suction to flush out allergens, germs, mucus, and dirt.
My doctor recommends Navage to breathe better through my nose, and it works. Congestion's gone, and I feel great.
And Navage is so much easier than a neti pot.
Trusted by happy noses everywhere, Navage is nature's decongestant. Online and at these fine retailers. Guys come in all shapes and sizes. There is no normal erection for everyone, but there is a normal for you. If, like thousands of other guys, you find that your erection doesn't look so normal anymore, it could be an addressable medical condition called Peyronie's disease, or PD. A curved erection with a bump that bothers you is not normal and should be checked out by a urologist. Because you don't have to accept this as your new normal. Find a urologist at learnaboutpd.com.
The quarterback is the field general. He commands the offense. Who are Wall Street's quarterbacks? In this market, it's got to be the software industry, which has been responsible for a tremendous portion of our overall gains for the past decade. Watch or listen live on the CNBC app.
Dow's down 270 almost. The gains for the year down to 19 basis points, although here are some of the top performers on the index so far on this final day of January. McDonald's and Intel leading the pack. We're back in a minute with Stop Trading.
Introducing the Right Now sale from Vistaprint. With up to 50% off almost everything, it's the perfect opportunity to try a fresh new look. Do something a little different. Build an even better brand. With up to 50% off almost everything, you can save big right now. Use promo code SAVEBIG and own the now during the Right Now sale from Vistaprint now through January 31st.
In a changing environment, consistency keeps us on track. Columbia Threadneedle Investments.
At Fidelity, online U.S. stocks and ETFs are commission-free. And when you open a new brokerage account, your cash is automatically invested at a great rate. That's why Fidelity leads the industry in value, while our competition continues to talk.
It can make you.
Thank you, Iowa.
Or break you. The Iowa caucuses. On the ground. At the big board. We'll make sense of this critical first test. Monday at 6 on MSNBC.
Keys. Check. Phone. Check. 70s playlist downloaded? Check. Nice. There's one more thing you should check before you leave. Your travel. There's a new cycleway under construction between Kensington Olympia and Brentford Town Centre, so expect delays due to lane closures at the junction of Kew Bridge Road and Chiswick High Road. Plan ahead at tfl.gov.uk. To the Mayor of London and TfL, every journey matters.
Chilly January days in London are tough enough without a broken boiler. Keep your home warm and working this winter with 2 years interest-free credit and your boiler installed by one of our expert engineers. Plus, you'll get a 5-year British Gas warranty. And we can even quote by video call after work or on weekends. Get a quote by the 29th of February, and you can also get £200 off a new boiler, or £400 off for our existing home care customers. Search British Gas New Boiler. Conditions apply.
Don't miss Super Bowl 54 because you can't watch the game on TV.
Nice hit over the left guard. Touchdown.
Listen to every second of the action with your phone, tablet, computer, or connected device. All you need is a TuneIn Premium subscription.
Search Premium to upgrade today.
Ah, finally another commercial, said no one ever. Visit tunein.com/premium to upgrade now and get over 45 commercial-free music stations.
TuneIn remembers the life, the success, the legacy of Kobe Bryant.
Buckle up for Kobe.
5-time NBA champion.
It was my dream to be a Los Angeles Laker.
Repeat, back-to-back titles.
Devoted husband and proud father of 4 daughters.
I love having girls. They're awesome, man.
People are in disbelief that this global and cultural icon could be gone.
Search Remembering Kobe Bryant on TuneIn for podcasts and interviews of the legend, Kobe Bryant.
When you're not listening to your team, take it to the end zone, the rim, or the net. Keep up with the biggest moments in sports by following TuneIn on social media.
Block, hook, into the end zone for the touchdown.
From reminders of the live top games to tips of the best sports stations and podcasts.
Welcome to Undisputed. We are live from Los Angeles. I'm Jenny Taft here with Skip
Follow
Bayless.
and TuneIn on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to get the most out of TuneIn.
Hey, NFL fan, can't watch the game? Can't be there? No biggie. With your TuneIn Premium membership, you already have an all-access pass to every team and every game in the league. Amazing, right?
Steps up, floats it towards, at the goal line, it's intercepted.
Listen live as the action unfolds or on demand when you can. Anytime, anywhere, all season long.
Right side, it is caught. It is in for the right side for the touchdown to Keenan.
Search NFL today.
Go courtside with the NBA on TuneIn. With the NBA on TuneIn, hear your favorite team and players take on their biggest rivals during the biggest games throughout the year, including regular season showdowns, the 2020 All-Star Game, and the NBA Finals in June, featuring the home and away calls for all 30 teams. Plus, with the NBA on demand, relive the best moments of the season by listening to the past games in their entirety. Listen to the NBA all season long on TuneIn.
The puck drops. 12 players face off to win. The suspense is pure torture, but you wouldn't miss this for the world. TuneIn brings you every minute of the NHL season. Listen live to hockey when it matters most on TuneIn.
A lot of people aren't aware that TuneIn lets you listen to the same terrestrial stations that you pick up on your FM AM dial, except you can hear them from anywhere. To see all the stations broadcasting in your area, find the local radio section on the home screen. Keep it local with TuneIn.
You love TuneIn for live breaking news from CNN, MSNBC, Fox, CNBC, and more. But when you can't catch your favorite show as it airs, it might just be a click away as a podcast. Search your favorite news station to explore all the on-demand news shows on TuneIn.
Introducing the Generac PowerCell, a battery storage system that harnesses the power from the sun to help reduce your electric bill and provide backup power during utility power outages.
With the battery storage solution, we're saving about $450 a month.
PowerCell's revolutionary technology captures and stores electricity either from solar panels or the electrical grid. It allows you to use stored energy during peak demand times when electricity costs are high, which helps reduce your electric bill, saving you money. And when a power outage occurs, PowerCell is ready to supply backup power to your home. PowerCell's modular design allows for easy customization for any home or budget. And PowerCell is backed with a 10-year limited warranty.
It was a simple installation, very neatly installed. It was done very quickly and efficiently. Since installing our power system, we've been experiencing a savings of $1,500 a year.
Generac has been a trusted provider of backup power solutions since 1959 and provides 24/7 customer support.
The battery storage solution in combination with the solar has been one of the best investments we've ever made.
Special financing is available with low monthly payment options. You will likely qualify for tax credits and energy rebates, which could save you up to 30%. Adding to the savings you'll enjoy over time with PowerCell. Call now to schedule a free in-home assessment. The call is free, the assessment is free, and there's no obligation to buy. Act now to receive PowerView, Generac's home energy monitoring system, a $300 value. With PowerView, easily keep tabs on your energy consumption, monitor your battery usage, and track your savings. Don't wait. Call or go online now. PowerCell. Savings powered by the sun.
It's earnings season.
The biggest companies in the world are set to report.
And we're breaking down the numbers like nobody else. It's about performance.
And opportunity.
It's earnings season on CNBC.
Carl Quintanilla with Sarah Eisen, David Faber at the New York Stock Exchange. More data on deck. Let's get to Rick.
Yes, our January final read for University of Michigan pops higher. 99.1 was the mid-month. 99.8 is the real read. The 99.1 gets dropped. 99.8 is the best level going back a ways, actually. Back to May of last year. So very, very solid number, especially after following a Chicago PMI that was the weakest in 5 years and a month. Let's go through some other issues here. Current conditions degraded a bit from 115.8 to 114.4. If you're looking at expectations, they improved from 88.3 to 90.5. Now let's get to what I find interesting. The one-year inflation lookout is 2.5, same as last mid-month read, and 2.5 on the 5 to 10-year inflation outlook. And, of course, those have stabilized after slipping over the last 10 or 12 months. And, of course, it brings to mind Chairman Jay Powell, of course, and how inflation is getting revamped. We'll learn more details throughout 2020. Sarah, back to you.
Rick, thank you. Our roadmap for the hour begins with Amazon and its blowout quarter rejoining the $1 trillion club after a big earnings beat. We'll go inside those results next.
Plus, stocks are sliding on this last trading day of the month as coronavirus concerns weigh down the major averages. The value plays to watch at this level at this hour.
And finally, a big shakeup at the top of Big Blue. CEO Ginny Rometty steps down as the CEO of IBM. More on her successor and the company's future in just a few minutes.
We'll start with stocks, though, moving lower this morning as those coronavirus concerns keeping investors on edge. The U.S. warning Americans against traveling to China. And joining us now to discuss what to do with all this information, J.P. Morgan Asset Management's Phil Camporelli and Charles Schwab Investment Management's Omar Aguilar. Good morning to you both, gentlemen. Phil, what are you guys telling your clients to do amid the headlines on coronavirus?
Yeah, good morning. So it's good to be here. What a pristine type of run we had into the new year. And then earlier in the new year, Iran, and then now the coronavirus. So on the onset of it, 70% of China is basically going to be shut down until February 10th. So in the near-term impacts are going to be in the emerging equity world, Sarah. I think that's where we're telling clients maybe to pull back a little bit because, we have to wait and see what's going on here. China's economy is about 14 trillion. U.S. economy is about 21 trillion. U.S. consumer, if we were a economy, we would be bigger than China. So what does that mean? It means that the U.S. stock market for us, led by this three-headed monster of growth and earnings stabilizing, the Fed on the sideline, and trade de-escalation, still looks like a good bet for us here.
So again, it's on the U.S. consumers' back. Income and spending numbers weren't that hot this morning.
Yeah, but you know what? Rates are low. So debt payments as a percent of disposable income. So not every consumer has a stock portfolio, but every consumer has debt. And those debt payments as a percent of disposable income are at their lowest level since 1980. Nobody's really talking about that. What would be scarier for us would be a sharp rise in rates, going from 2 to 3. But I don't want to discount this drop in rates. This drop in rates is something that ultimately won't be good for the economy and equities if it continues to happen.
So then why is spending as a percentage of
disposable income?
Yep. Why is that moving in? Why are consumers so nervous? I mean, they have the money, right? They're just not spending it as much as that's the difference between 2, 3, and 3 GDP.
Yeah, so they're not spending it because they don't have the ability here to say, you know what, I need to do more. I think more of the consumer, Carl, is around the mortgage rate side. So the mortgage rate side, I think, has been very compelling for consumer confidence throughout last year. Now, I don't want to say that the consumer is going to continue to kind of carry us into 2020. All I'm saying is financial conditions are so accommodative for the consumer here, which is very different from where we've been. Even back in 2003 when people worried about SARS, the average 10-year rate was 4%. We're at about 1.6 right now. So much different economy.
Omar, what do you make of that idea to stay in the U.S. sort of as a safe haven and a bright spot in a increasingly turbulent global economy, and especially what's going on with China?
Well, I certainly think that when you look at the prospects of the macroeconomic environment globally, in a deceleration of all economies, the U.S. continues to lead. We're just debating whether or not we're going to be around 2 or above 2% of our GDP growth for a year, where the rest of the world is still trying to figure out how they're going to come out of a potential recession. So when you put that into perspective, it is not very surprising, with the size of our economy, with the strength of our consumer, and now even with even a positive news on housing, that we could see even better prospects for our GDP going forward. Again, it's not going to be gangbuster growth, but still going to be on trend or even a little bit above trend. So over that, that continues to favor the U.S. over the rest of the world, with the exception of probably valuation. I would probably say that I agree that, the biggest difference today to what was January 1st is the fact that consumer sentiment and investor sentiment seems to be a little more jittery, and the so-called recency bias in behavioral finance seems to be driving a lot of decisions on a day-to-day basis. So people are really focusing on what happens on any given day on any new news, which what we're telling our clients is that continue to focus in the long term, continue to focus about the macro environment, continue to focus about risk. That should actually drive the decision-making, not the day-to-day activity, because that may just prove to be temporary.
One of the still hot issues is, of course, trade. Mm-hmm. And after the Phase 1 trade deal, still tariffs, Phase 2. We actually talked to investor Nelson Peltz yesterday on Closing Bell about the new China trade deal. Here's what he said about it.
This was a monumental effort. And I do agree with Trump. He's done amazing stuff on trade. I don't care whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. He's done an amazing thing on trade.
You think the market investors agree with that view, even with the tariffs still in place, Bill?
So EM went up by 12% in the fourth quarter of last year. So I think the market got a little ahead of that, and I think it was significant. It was trade de-escalating. Could you imagine if we were still fighting about trade right now when this virus is going on? So I don't think it's been fully priced into EM just yet. But again, for me, it goes back to financial conditions. And if the Fed is off the table, if people are worried about them easing or tightening, that should support multiples up at these levels of 17 or 18 times in the U.S.
17 or 18? What people are talking about going to 20?
So you could support that view, but that was priced to perfection. Now, that was before kind of geopolitical concerns. That's not what we're looking at right here, Carl, because we have to deal with these new uncertainties. But at the end of the day, if the Fed is on the sideline and if rates stay at around this 2% level, that's important. Again, I'll say it again. Rates moving to 150 or 1% would not be a good sign for equity. But if rates stay at around the 2% level, if inflation stays at 2, and if GDP stays at 2, that's a nice setup for the first half of the year.
You talk about staying on the sideline. Mm-hmm. What if repo really does matter and they taper, they bring that back in April? I mean, and even from a reception standpoint, people believe they are not as supportive as they were late last year.
Yeah, so any piece of information is going to be politicized. And if that comes off as tight...
I don't mean politics. I just mean perception that the Fed is accommodative.
Yeah, so the accommodative perception, if that were to get shaken and the stock market reacted, that would be a bad sign. Sure.
Omar, just want to introduce another wild card into this, and that is, Iowa caucuses next week. Latest NBC Wall Street Journal poll shows Sanders and Biden sort of tied among Democratic Party members. I mean, could this be a wake-up call for the markets?
Well, I think the market wants certainty, and the market is actually going to be looking for, who's going to be the candidate, and that's obviously going to provide some sort of relief of any uncertainty that goes into that. I got to say, though, given that everything that we have seen on the hard data or everything that we see globally today, I think politics is still not even well priced into the market. I don't think volatility has picked up related to what may happen in the U.S. elections down the road. The market doesn't seem to even pay attention to impeachment or any other political news directly. Clearly, the focus continues to be more on coronavirus. What are the things going to happen to GDP and earnings? That seems to be what's driving day-to-day activity in the market so far.
Right. So do you think that volatility is mispriced here, given the fact that Bernie Sanders, who is considered sort of not market friendly, is in the lead, or at least tied for the lead in the Iowa polls?
Yeah, absolutely. We should expect more volatility going into the remaining of the year. I think, we are pricing right now levels of volatility that we seem to be going into like nothing is really happening.